Hey, can you hear me? Uh, I, we're in transition. Let's see what we're working with right here. Watch how this thing transition. You know, like it's about to switch up in a second. Let me know you see it. It's a little bit of delay. Yeah. We in this bitch. We in this bitch. Hey, we've been grinding over here. Hang on. Matter of fact, here we go. I didn't have you on speaker. Let me take my headset off too. I'm messing up. I'm too excited.
Oh man, that was dope.
Yo, we in this thing, bro.
That was dope.
Let me turn the little TV off. I'm gonna go ahead and pour me a nice one right now, bro.
Boy, he said pour you a nice one.
I gotta pour me a nice one, bro. Cause like, it wasn't no hard work, but it was just tedious work. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So, I'm gonna have me a little small celebration, bro.
Hey man, that shit dope as fuck.
Hey, it's a good start, man. Let me go ahead and turn off our music for a little bit, cause I don't want to interrupt you or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Look, hey, check this out, right? I got a little sound effects this time. Hold on, let me go ahead and hit it with an evil laugh. Tell me you heard that. I guess that one didn't work. We're still working on some of these sound things, man. But you heard the opening music, right? So.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? That was a real hard instrumental, you know. And
super hard.
Super hard. And what I'm gonna also do, man, it's just saying my shit ended. What you mean?
Yep, it just said it.
Okay, look, I'm getting dissatisfied right now. So this is what I'm gonna do. I'm not sure what happened. But we still recording right now, you know, so it's no big deal. You know, we working through some shit. And what we gonna do is this right here. Fuck it. You know, I gotta go with the old school way right now, man. I can't keep messing around with Facebook, you know, and it doing me dirty, you know.
It just keeps you out.
Yeah, but this is added fuel for us to do what we gotta do. You know what I'm saying? Build our following, and you know what I'm saying, and then get over to you know what I'm saying, people moving over to a different spot. But I'm live again right now, you know what I'm saying? And let me see here. Let me go ahead and tag you in the thing. It just won't let us be great. You know what I'm saying?
Nah, man. Some hate out there in the system, though. Hate out there in the universe. Man.
Hey, I don't even like talking like that, but it's just true.
Mm-hmm. Something out there trying to work, man.
Yeah. Like, they don't want me to live right now. They don't want us to eat, you know?
Nah, man. Some bullshit in the game.
Yes.
What's going on out there?
Bruh, I don't know, man. But, you know, we're going to get through this shit. You know what I'm saying? So, bruh, hey.
Just prolonging the inevitable, man.
It's prolonging the inevitable, man. Yo, we're about to really, really plateau this thing. You know, get past the plateau. We're bigger at this point than our circumstances, and that's always how you win. You know what I'm saying? Hey, I apologize to people. Let me go ahead and apologize to people that's been waiting on us to get back on, man. We had some technical issues, and you know, we was trying to get, you know, our docket straight. I got a great presentation and a good lineup. You know what I'm saying? The topics that you guys can see, but the presentation, what I was working on, you know, because, you know, I want to show everybody that every time that y'all show love and show up for the live feed or whatever, that we got to keep doing work in order to make it known that we appreciate what y'all do, you know what I'm saying, in terms of taking out your time to tune in. Because, you know, we could easily just be sitting up here talking about some BS, you know what I'm saying, and laughing about it. But we got to use, you know what I'm saying, that same platform on social media to show the things that social media can do for us in a positive way. Hey, Tony, what's good? So that's what the whole point of this is, man. Because like we've gotten to the point now where people demonize what social media does. They say, man, this is because of social media, this happened or whatever. But but they say that in one breath and then totally dismiss the fact that social media does add good value, man. Like how many times y'all have seen somebody lose their job that deserve to lose their job because of what they did on social media? You know, shit happens all the time, right? And so here we are. We're gonna use social media in a way that causes us to empower ourselves. You know what I'm saying? Holds one another accountable for those around them, and it's another layer of feeling protected. By seeing someone enduring the same thing that you're dealing with. Um, so yeah, without further ado, man, we're gonna get into it in a second, right? Um, but before we do all that, hey, Drew, how you feeling today, man? You know what I'm saying? How you recovering from your surgery? Talk to me about that. You know what I'm saying?
Oh man, today was an eye opening day
Okay.
because last couple of days I've been feeling pretty good, and one of the things that I was not supposed to be doing was driving for the next 3 to 4 weeks. Right?
Right.
No driving for the next 3 to 4 weeks.
You don't realize
No
how much you
lifting.
got to turn your head when you
Right.
yeah.
And mind you, today is what, Saturday?
Yeah.
I had the surgery Tuesday.
Okay. Tell everybody what surgery you had, man, because like some folks may just be tuning in for the first time.
I had excuse me if I can't get the medical term right. It was some form of a disciotomy. I had a couple pinched nerves in my neck that they had to go in there and remove, but a metal plate was also put over my spine too.
Okay.
Which that was the he didn't tell me about that till the next morning.
Okay.
I don't remember that being in any other language prior to going for the surgery.
Okay.
So that was the part I was like, whoa, like, okay. That kind of made it a little more serious, a metal plate. Like, So now I got questions about airports. Like, okay, what's the metal detectors and whatnot?
Yeah.
Am I going out? But yeah, 3 days after the surgery, I decided, hey, I'll take a spin around station real quick. Bad idea.
So
Bad
now,
idea.
so now you got to be driven around, pretty much.
Yeah, man. I'm a chauffeur, man. They got to take me everywhere, man. If I need to go to the store for some chips, man, I got to catch a ride. They already looking at me sideways, like, all right, fam.
Man, I'm kind of.
You don't realize how much you drive until you can't.
Yeah, like until you, man. Look, you don't realize how much you do of anything until you can't do shit anymore. So especially when it come down to just simple stuff, just random tasks, right?
Right.
All right, man. So my day consisted of, we traveled back from Austin, man. We had a good time. Went to the Moonfire Lounge last night.
Oh yeah, man. How was that, man?
It was pretty dope, bro. It was a good time. It's my wife's birthday weekend and my friend's birthday weekend. Well, his wife as well. She's my friend too, but like just got to be specific here. So we went out and celebrated with our ladies, and had a good time, and then got sleepy at midnight. Everybody was looking at each other, talking about something like, who ready to go? Had the who ready to go face, because we old now,
But y'all old and washed.
Hey, boy, shut up now. Hey, your birthday next month too.
At 11:30.
So we get back. We had a couple issues with getting into the space that we were staying in because somebody had the remote access lock the door or open the door, give us access to the place. But we got through it though. You know what I'm saying? Austin's got a great nightlife and just. We some matinee people though. We got to do it in the daytime.
For sure, man. I'm all about the day party, man. What a day party.
Yeah, what a day party. You know what I'm saying? Like the one where you look up, it's like I still got to go to the grocery store. So let me go to this party first and show my face and then pull off, right?
And then get up out of there.
Yeah. So it was a good time, man. And around some good people and. And we left from out of there this morning, and Came back up to the house and still had to take another power nap before I got to this point. Before I started working on this stuff, man. I wish everybody could see the layout, man, because I got some efforts tied into this thing, man. You know, and trying to sort it out. You know, we had our conversation, which is like kind of our pre-production, as you coined it. You know what I'm saying? But it's the truth, though. You know, we constantly working like that. You know, so without further ado, man, let's go ahead and get to topic number one. The government reopens temporarily. And I put temporarily in parentheses because this whole administration is, in the way it executes policy, everything's in parentheses. You know what I'm saying? Everything's fine print. Okay. So the shutdown ended. I'm not specific on the length of time, but it's the longest one in history, right? And it ended after politicians on both sides could not reach an agreement to fund a wall or allow the government to work. And so ultimately Trump takes another L because he still ended up doing exactly what the Democrats wanted him to do in terms of being able to work on issues with the government and try to find a way to fund border security operations. In that regard, the Dems actually had a small victory. You know what I'm saying? Now, what does temporarily mean? Well, the government is funded from now until 8th of February. So we don't know what that means. And Sherm just commented, and I think everybody already knows this, that wall's not going to happen unless the Mad Hatter decides to go ahead and declare a national emergency and allocate the funds anyway. A lot of people have been throwing that theory around too. And some people saying he won't do that, but you and I have already had this conversation in terms of we can't say what he won't do. Because when folks said, when he was running and he said, oh, he can't win, he lost the last time before because people forgot that he lost. You know what I'm saying? I think it was the 2012 election. Not really lost, but like he was running. He wasn't even, getting to that point yet, right? And so that's why I've never taken him being reelected off the table because he won. And when you talk about incumbent presidents that have the ability to be reelected, the last one that only served one term was George Bush Sr. Right. Everybody else after him, even before him, we had 2 Reagan administrations. You had 1 Bush administration. You had 2 Clinton administrations, 2 Obama administrations. It's not far-fetched to say that Trump won't get reelected again. And not only that, some people say, well, he's probably lost support from some of his base or whatever. But those polls are the same ones that was manipulated by the Russians, so they're not absolutely true either,
Anyway.
Yeah, and sometimes when they show polls, it's a gift and a curse because some people say, well, I don't need to go vote, you know what I'm saying, because the polls already say he winning, There's a lot of different variables that go into why he's going to get reelected, you know what I'm saying? Like, if we operate on that tangent, let's just assume that nothing's going to change, right?
Right.
This government shutdown is problematic because it's the state of where we are, man. Like a guy can have an argument on Twitter and shut down the entire government over a tantrum. Like we're a tantrum away from having unemployed people that work in significant federal positions. Like my brother-in-law is an air traffic controller. You know what I'm saying? And I went back and revisited that thread from that live that we had before. And and I pasted a link to an interview he just had, where some reporter was asking him about other air traffic controllers in their specific field who were unable to, collect a paycheck due to the shutdown. And, I should have reposted the link in this thread so people can go back and watch it again. Probably should go back and chop down that segment just so I can bring it up because the shutdown is still relevant, you know what I'm saying, based on people that are impacted by it. So out of that, those are just the facts of what we know right now. You know what I'm saying? And the scary part is that this is our everyday life. So what you got to say about that, man?
I don't know where we are.
What planet is this?
What the hell is happening? just made all of those points, right? Very articulately.
Yeah.
This is happening. He's doing this as a result of this. I don't know what the hell is going on.
It's just too much, right?
It's too much, right? Okay. We shut the government down, right?
Mm-hmm.
For the longest time it's ever been shut down in history.
Right.
People walking off jobs, people getting furloughed right out the gate.
Mm-hmm.
Air traffic controllers not getting paid. Now, how did they end up being the first people on the chopping block?
Man, look, when we had that conversation, it was like, okay, we know that the government is shut down, but what does that mean, right? Like, if you had told me that they were on the first of the chopping block for the first residual impacts of the shutdown, I would have been like, how many other people knew that? I didn't know that. You know?
Me neither. Tell me how much more serious you would have taken the government shutdown had that been in the headline.
Right.
If it was like, you know,
if they had
air traffic controllers aren't going to get paid when this happens.
Correct. Like, if they had been interviewing those guys instead of talking about national parks, people,
right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't care about the guy that can't go throw out the trash. You know what I'm saying? But I got to fly somewhere at some point.
Yes.
You mean to tell me TSA can quit? You know?
Just walk out.
Yeah. Now, that doesn't mean that none of this other stuff is priority because the Coast Guard wasn't getting paid. And so, and let's be specific about that because a lot of folks don't know this either. They were saying, man, soldiers aren't getting paid. That's a lie. Soldiers get... The Army, Marines, the Navy, and the Air Force are part of the DOD. That budget is completely separate from the Department of Homeland Security. The Coast Guard falls underneath the Department of Homeland Security, though. So when TSA got shut down and it wasn't paying employees, that means the Coast Guard wasn't getting paid. So, and right. So Sherm came in and said the Senate and the House allowed that the presidency is only a third of the government. They've consistently kicked the can down the road on budget for years. Yep, that's true. But
right, we beat them. Yeah, that's been fucked up.
Yeah, we got that part. That's just the norm. But the reality is this:
he pulled the trigger.
Yeah, he pulled the trigger and owned the gun and didn't care if his press was on it.
Yes, you pulled the trigger on
no ski mask, no ski mask.
No, this boy ain't got no soul, man.
Yeah, like and so, like, what goes to a larger point, too, about what he cares about people. Some folks say, you know what I'm saying, he's a racist. And his policy and the people he support make him a racist to, you know what I'm saying, by proxy, you know. But I just don't think he cares about anyone outside of himself. I don't think he even cares. I don't think he cares about anyone that doesn't have his last name. And he only cares about his children, based on how he can use them to model off his brand, because he cares about a brand. He's not a patriot, you know what I'm saying? He's a patriot based on what he benefits from, you know. So in that regard, it's like I echo what you're saying when you talk about you're scared and what you don't know what we are, because the reality is that we have dwindled our American executive government. The executive, you know what I'm saying, level of our government that represents us abroad, or represents the country abroad, not necessarily the people, because we know that not to be one and the same. And he's a tantrum away from, you know what I'm saying, causing chaos to people that live a life that he didn't have to worry about, you know what I'm saying, sustaining. So, and that's completely echoed in his speech, which is the next topic, you know. That's kind of a pretty good segue. It's a hell of a segue right there. Because, like, we're not in the business right now of trying to talk to people that's trying to say who really did the shutdown. Like, if you got to go back and say, well, the shutdown really comes from, we're not talking to you. You know what I'm saying? No. The dude already told us who said gonna own the shutdown. All right?
So let him own it.
Let him own it. He picked it up. He took it out the oven. You know what I'm saying? He put all the ingredients in it. And it was up to him to decide he was going to preheat the oven to cook that thing, right?
Yes.
Let him own it. Okay? And the other person that's getting lost in the sauce is Mitch McConnell. Because whatever dirt Trump got on him or whatever promises he's been made to him, you know, he's made to him, Mitch McConnell is running that thing too. He need to own it too. Republicans in general. This is their. This is the Republican Party. Also known as the Reputin Party. Now, factions within the grand old Putin Party, are responsible for this too. Not necessarily everybody, but like, there's enough blame to go around. But we're gonna talk about people who can be held accountable for it because they said something. Like, we need to get past this institutional blame because all of us work for an institution that's not necessarily right.
Exactly.
And we ultimately are just trying to survive at different levels, right?
Right.
Like, I don't fault the guy that decides he's gonna be a police officer. As long as he's not tearing up my community or anything, or messing with my people in a malicious way and acting, in a negligent way, I respect what he does. He or she.
Right. But I also could use him, standing up for the cops. Or saying something about the cops that ain't doing what they're supposed to be doing.
Correct. I mean, we can focus on whatever facet we want to, because to some degree, all of us have been hypocrites, right? You and I both were in the army at some point. Are we not part of the machine? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But people that didn't join the army, they part of the machine too. You know what I'm saying? So, like, when folks say things about being institutionalized, look, this is the institution we were born into, and that we didn't learn and recognize it was an institution until we was of a certain age. So it took you however long it took me till I probably like 35 years old to recognize, like, where we are right now, and I'll be 40 in 3 weeks. And I've just been able to educate myself enough with metrics and interactions with certain people of different walks of life to make my own assessments about where we are. So for all you people that have never been police officers or served in the military or worked for some level of government, you still part of the system too, bro. You know what I'm saying? As long as FICA getting their money out your check, you support white supremacy too. Okay? Now, how you function within your community is what determines you as being an ally or added value, rather. You know what I'm saying? To people around you. You got to become a representative and an ambassador. And right now, this dude don't represent nobody but himself. That's all I see from it. Because, like, even in the speech, which should have been him giving an update, if you watch the second half of the same speech, you would think that it was a victory. He thought he won. He took a fire L.
Yep.
And fire is spelled F-I-E. You know what I'm saying? For, context, what we talking about. That L was so fire. You know what I'm saying? Because he talked crazy to the same people that he lost to. You remember when he was talking about, I will own the shutdown,
Yeah.
And the only wall he got was named Nancy Pelosi. And it's in D.C. around his residence. So
he a spectacle, man.
Yeah, like,
he the hottest show on TV.
For real. Like, he concerned about ratings, you know what I'm saying, and things like that. Ain't no president should be concerned about no ratings, but this isn't the old stuff. And then then this is part two where we have to accept that social evolution changes laws in a way that laws are executed. Like in the past, we're a representation of like laws being pushed by morals. Black people being able to have platforms like this. The fact that we're talking between me here in Texas and you in Alabama.
Right.
We have, kind of gotten to a point where we can create our own platforms of that. And that's a residual impact of morals changing laws, right? Well, here we are today where, people just decide, I'm just going to throw up a wall because I don't like Mexicans.
It's that simple.
Yeah, it's that simple.
Mm-hmm. And I'm the president, so I can do it.
Mm-hmm. So, man, so we done talked about the main topic, which is the government shutdown and temporarily reopens, We talked about Trump's speech, and I included a link so people can go watch and see what it is in plain view. I really should have posted the other link about, like this the speech where he had the meeting and had the cameras in the Oval Office, and saying he'd own the shutdown so people can remember. But
Yes.
but I don't really care if people don't remember either. I'm talking to folks that share our same, perspectives, because I'm not here to debate. This ain't it. This is not the platform for debate. So, you want to debate, you go find some timeline, from Fox News and get in the comment section or something. This ain't the place for that. You know what I'm saying? So, hey, look, if just want to put this out there too, man. If y'all out there and you support Trump and you watching this shit right here, I don't give a fuck about your opinions. I really don't. You know what I'm saying? Because we don't benefit by trying to come to common ground about understanding who Trump is, in your perspective. Because I don't benefit from that, I don't benefit socially. I don't care about your little moral victories. So you can go say, I stressed out some libs, but I'm not a liberal. I'm not a Republican. I'm only aligned with what benefits my community. And don't come with them false facts about, Trump is the best thing that ever happened to the black community. And because people really running with that narrative. I'm not here for none of that. So I'm not even trying to entertain it because that's your belief. And that's fine. But we're going to move on to topic 3 though. You know what I'm saying? Because I think the myth's going to take a lot to discuss, So the reality is that we had a government shutdown in its own. It's always looming overhead at this point until there's an agreeable budget plan passed that gives both sides what they want, right?
Right.
But in the meantime, we're going to talk about how people were impacted by that. And that, which is topic number 3, I felt that shit, right? Now, some of us felt it in certain ways. I felt it because my brother-in-law is dealing with it directly, and I was completely oblivious, to them being impacted by it. Even when I heard small mentionings of it, in the government shutdown and what will be the prolonged result afterwards, right? And then they start talking about the air traffic controllers, about a week before they missed their first paycheck. And then when we talked to my brother-in-law, a few episodes ago, and got his firsthand opinion and perspective on it, it still made me think about the conversation we had earlier that day before we went live that day. And we were talking about why we need to practice group economics, why we need to buy vegetables, from somebody that looked like us. And that was just we got to start small. That's just the bottom line. You know what I'm saying? If we buying it, we need to be selling it, and if we rent it, we need to be the landlords, So for those of you that were unaffected by the government shutdown, but still drew your attention to it, what are you doing right now to economically insulate yourself since the last conversation that we had on this? And if you haven't watched it yet, I think it's episode 3. Should be episode 3, about 3 weeks ago, where we discussed that with the government shutdown. I got it titled just like I got the caption right here. What are you doing to prepare yourself for a potential economic downturn or blockage or stoppage that may impact you in the same way? Me, same thing I've always said. I'm working on real estate. Hell, I just got a phone with a friend of mine, trying to work on getting another property. I need an income stream. You know what I'm saying? And I'm working with the same tools a lot of my veterans have, that may have not used them yet or don't know how to. But at some point, we're going to have that discussion too. But we got to find ways to generate our own income streams so we're not complaining about the government being shut down and it affecting us directly. You might have a good job with the government right now, but what are you doing to create that avenue where you don't have to be dependent upon that check? Like man, look, as agitated as most of us were about the words that Kanye West used, I must say that with this recent demonstration of the government shutdown, that I see the point he was trying to make, no matter how egregious it came across. It wasn't that I saw it then, but like you had to have something to actually be demonstrated until then it was just rhetoric, right?
Right.
So, which brings another question to some folks. He probably knew it was coming. You know what I'm saying? Based on his
Right.
accents.
Right.
You know what I'm
He
saying?
knew what was up.
Yeah, he might have known what was up. You know what I'm saying? He probably had that, planned already. And I'm not dismissing it at all. Like I said, I'm not trying to get into no level of conspiracy because that ain't what this live cast is about. This live cast is about taking what we see and using the potential negative outcomes for us to plan against that. Because we're a tantrum away. You know what I'm saying? Like you literally a tantrum away. That's crazy.
From it all being over.
Yeah. So what do you want to add to that line of thought, man?
Is I hope everybody saw that for what it was. Saw how fast.
Because he flipped on the people that voted for him too. You know what I'm saying? The people,
to see.
Yeah, just to see
how bad they could go for him. For everybody.
Yo, and then he was talking about the federal workers wanted him to keep going in the speech.
Sir. Yeah. He said that dumbass shit in the speech. Like, yeah, they urged me to keep going. Don't give up. We enjoy not getting paid. Like, sir, what are you saying?
What are you talking about? Man, look, I hate the fact that we have to maintain situational awareness on this guy for the things that he might have to do. And we say it all the time, bro. I have to go look at his Twitter. I don't follow his Twitter, okay? Let me go ahead and put that out there. I go look at it, though, for situational awareness. And for people that don't understand why I do it, picture a flying cockroach coming in your house. You see it. You tried to swat it. You missed. And then between being half scared of getting it or jumping on you, it disappeared. It's hiding on the top of the ceiling fan that you haven't turned on in the living room. And so, because it's wintertime, right?
Right.
So you don't know where it's at. Can you sleep at night? Can you sleep at night knowing it's a flying cockroach? It flew in the house.
Yeah, and you didn't kill it.
You didn't kill it. It's still in there. It ain't even, bro. It ain't paying no rent. You know what I'm saying? It's just up there chilling, waiting for you to turn the fan on, so it can swoop down like Batman or something. You know what I'm saying?
And rub across your lips.
Oh man, bro, and that's what he is.
But
man.
but I really hope it was a little eye opener, man, a little wake up call for everybody that don't believe we got to get our own. We got to get our own. We got to get our own structure, man, because that didn't have to affect it.
Man, look, right. Man, look, I think we have to work with grouping together, like the small businesses, and like Adam just made a good point on that. You know what I'm saying? I think we need to work with small businesses that are actual allies. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because there's plenty of small businesses that don't care about anything else but the bottom line. The bottom line should be included in it, but where we are as the minority community, we need to recognize that we should make sure that we understand that we're doing some things based on business principles versus moral principles, without selling ourselves out, because you can use wherever you get your income from for the right reasons, you know what I'm saying? Because that's, at the end, that's the difference between policy and prejudice,
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Yeah.
Because you not saying that, you know what I'm saying, you still gonna have people that work those kind of jobs.
Mm-hmm.
But like you said, it's all about what you do when you come back.
Right.
But that doesn't, you know what I'm saying, we can still have our own thing. That way we ain't as dependent, man. Because that could have went a whole nother way. it still can't 2 weeks from now.
Yeah, and exactly, because we got till February the 8th. You know what I'm saying? To
And
see
that
what
ain't nothing, man.
that's nothing. Like, look how fast it's already 2019, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like,
So I got a question now. They're gonna be able to in that 2 weeks time, they're gonna be able to get all those people all their money back before we get shut down again.
man, who knows? You know what I'm saying? Because the people that process the
Like, that
paychecks
should
might
be
have got laid
priority
off.
number one.
Yo, the people
That's
that
what I'm saying.
yeah, you know,
We gotta get them. We gotta catch them up before we go down again. But
Mhm.
they got, I'm sure there's some stuff they want to do to get some things situated.
gotta be right. So, man, look, his speech was still a rallying point. I do think that
It's all about me, man.
it was not just that, but like it's about context and coding too. You know what I'm saying? Which is why we talk about code talk. You know what I'm saying? Because like we've seen him tell Russia to hack her emails. You know what I'm saying? We've seen him talk about doing witness what things that would be qualified as witness tampering, right?
Right.
He's got a long list of things that just wouldn't pass the common sense test, but it just lets you know that based on where he is, it's not even about white privilege, bro. This shit is just about white transparency.
All day long.
This is who he represents, a faction of American white people that would run the government the same way.
Yes.
Like white Death Row Records. You know what I'm saying? Like
this is how it should be done.
The accuracy of the meme on that is like, bro, we live in a time where you shouldn't even want to be on a meme. You know what I'm saying? Like we got a meme generator running the country.
Yep. Running the daggone country, man.
And so in this whole thing, right? Let's just talk about a couple different numbers that we should be familiar with based on socialized terms. Black people make up. I'm only talking about black people right now because that's what this show is dedicated towards. So if all y'all that ain't black watching, you know what I'm saying, is just sit back and learn something. Don't come in here interjecting with what you think, you know what I'm saying, matters. Because at the end of the day, you got to go back to your non-black life. Okay, I'm talking to my people. I mean, you cool too if you're an ally, but I just want to be specific here. So, black people, we make up 13% of America. Okay, we can't elect everybody that we want. That's just in principle. Like 13% ain't never been passing in no type of situation. Like 13% is only good when you're talking about investments. You know what I'm saying? Depending on what type of investment it is. Can we agree on that?
Yes, sir.
All right. So with those numbers, you have to dial down your expectations. You know what I'm saying? Which is a practice I like to refer to as expectation management, right? Like you might say, I just don't want to be disappointed. I'm just going to say I'm going to practice expectation management, based on previous metrics and demonstrations on some things. Which is why we talk about group economics, because we can't impact the national and get a residual effect or impact that benefits us at the degree or the rate of expectancy that we'd like to see. Do we agree on that?
Yes, sir.
So, with that being said, you need to get about your hustle. You know what I'm saying? Get out your feelings and get in your bag. We've been in our feelings too long about some things, So, that's why I brought up, like, what are you doing to insulate yourself from the residual impacts of the looming government shutdowns and reopenings and shutdowns, all based off a tweet? So we have to start somewhere, and it kind of starts here, like us having these chats and discussions and, like making, these are regular conversations for me and my cousin, you know what I'm saying, Drew. So,
yep.
And I've been trying to set myself up to have some skin in the game too. And I'm on the front side of my investments, but it's going to pay off. I believe in that. I believe in what I'm talking about, what I've done and what I'm doing, the things I've written about, stuff that I've published, and I got to have some skin in the game too, We should all be ambassadors for one another. And in order for us to do that, we have to actually execute something besides an angry Facebook post.
For
Besides
sure.
besides a reposting of, like something prophetic that's been known for decades. Like pick one: Malcolm, Martin, you know, whoever else, wherever your inspiration comes from that aligns your moral compass. So where we are right now is we're at a decision making point. I like to say, y'all gonna barbecue or y'all gonna mildew?
Yeah. What's it gonna be? Because you see, it's everything on the table now.
Mm-hmm. Like if
So,
you,
so it ain't nothing for you to run from.
yeah, in the past it would be used. They would use a lot of coded language that we'd already be able to, decipher. Dog whistles is what they call them. Ain't no more dog whistles, bro. They saying this shit. Yeah, one
They
politician
saying it, showing it to you, making documentaries about it.
making
So,
pol-
now what you gonna do?
yeah, making policies that reflect it.
Yeah, in your face, nigga. What's
Mm-hmm.
happening?
Mm-hmm. Now what? So in that, we can't get caught up in the details. See, a lot of times, man, I see my people arguing about details instead of arguing about the facts. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Okay, so this is the month of Martin Luther King, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this made me think about this. So Dr. Umar had a video where he was talking about the details of what led to Martin Luther King being killed, right? And who did it and who had whatever equity in it, right? And I also saw an old video of Dick Gregory where he had this video of this pastor that was talking about the events that led up to Dr. King being killed. Now, I saw people arguing in both comment threads on each respective topic, right?
Right.
And I was like, is Dr. King still dead?
Hmm.
Because that's the fact, right?
Bottom line,
Do the details matter in that situation?
no.
Is there not a fact that the U.S. government, with certain factions within it, had a hand in killing Dr. King?
Right.
Like, that's a Googleable fact,
Yep.
right? The FBI was complicit. They sent tapes to Coretta Scott King of, Martin's infidelity in attempts to do what? That wasn't to say your husband's a great guy and he's spreading the word. They was trying to
Get her out of the pain.
they was trying to sow dissent, right, in the household. Because if I was going to fight somebody psychologically, that's what I do. Especially when I can't come right out and kill you, right? So the whole point is that there's some people that's out there wasting their energy arguing about the details. But the fact is that the result wasn't any different.
No, he's still not here.
They did the same thing to Malcolm. They did the same thing to JFK and RFK. Now, I don't know if the FBI existed during the time of Abraham Lincoln, but what I'm saying is that we live in a country where the executive branch, well, not the executive branch, the president is not off limits to assassination if it doesn't meet certain goals or agendas. And now they got a guy that's comfortable with that. So, hang on a second. Yo, we lost you for a second, bro.
Yeah.
So, what I'm saying is that if you are relying upon the government being open to, be the primary source of income, I think you're selling yourself short. I think you're doing a disservice to your people. You know what I'm saying? That's dependent on you. You gotta coach different angles of this. So.
Yep. Yep. And that's a hard lesson to learn, man, especially when you've been taught that way growing up.
Well, the two greatest institutions are pain and embarrassment.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Like, Like I always use the analogy of, you know what I'm saying, I don't have to watch you jump out of a tree and break both your legs to know I'm probably not gonna benefit by trying to do it better. I don't. Like you laying over there like,
to do it better.
yeah, like you over there laying down like Peter Griffin. You know what I'm saying? Like what you should have did was, like what you should realize is that gravity and your ligaments ain't never been friends. You know what I'm saying?
Don't care nothing about your shit.
So like in a sense, some people have been met with economic gravity.
Yeah.
You know, so and while they've been floating on federal pay funds, I'm glad I made the moves I made. You know what I'm saying? Almost 10 years ago. You know, I bought my first piece of property then. You know, and another thing too, man. Like at some point we got to do a live cast about 401k savings and all that good stuff, man. Because I don't think we make enough money to save enough money for retirement.
Okay.
Based on our current construct. You know what I'm saying? I got my reasons for that, and that's mostly because I'm pro real estate investment and renting and stuff like that, you know, and owning that, because my roots are based on trying to do something in my own communities, you know what I'm saying, where my people live, and trying to have some equity in that, because it's nothing worse than trying to talk about something that you don't have to do. That's why I don't like canned phrases when people say, buy back the block. I say, well, what part of the block do you own? And then there's silence.
And then that's it.
Stop repeating that if you ain't doing nothing. Stop repeating shit that you're not doing. You know, stop that.
Exactly. Right.
Like, it's really, stop repeating what you ain't doing. That's what we want to do, but what are you doing? Like, how many times have we seen the same colloquial phrases be repeated over and over again, and they don't result in anything, you know? That's why I don't like phrases like when people say it is what it is. I don't like hearing when people say at the end of the day. I'm like, man, look, I've been hearing that for so long. Like, what are we doing though? You know? So, and I'm reserved about trying to say that because I don't want to come off as though nobody else can do the same thing. I don't want to come off as a snob. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to come off as being, you know, like better than, you know what I'm saying, the next man. But what I'm saying is that we have to put truth to power, right? We got to put words in actions, because words mean shit. I like saying it really that simple. What you say and what you don't say means something.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So like, so man, I don't want to go down the rabbit hole on that, because we can sit up and speak in those terms all day. But ultimately, even though I wasn't impacted by the shutdown, you know what I'm saying, directly, I still felt that shit because my brother-in-law was. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. He put a face on it for me.
He put a face on it. Yeah. He put a face on it.
He put a face on it. It was he made it super real, something I could see. Like, and then he popped up on the news clip, and it was just like, when I saw him on there, man, my first thought was like how he even keeping it together.
Man, look, with everything that I got going on, I couldn't imagine, you know, like not having the funds to support my own ventures. You know what I'm saying? But like, I don't have any kids in my house. I got 2 dogs and I got a wife, and she works.
Right.
You imagine all the people depending on you?
On you.
But this is a double thing though.
On a tweet.
But this is the thing though. Him and his wife make great money, and both of them are air traffic controllers. So ain't nobody getting no money.
And nobody getting no money. You turn my whole house off.
Right. I don't know when that became the way to move.
Oh, man.
And it's still not.
No. That's crazy, man.
Man.
That's crazy.
Hey man, we gotta
How do you process that?
Man, look, we can't. But what we're gonna do is still keep talking about I wanna hold people accountable that's saying that they trying to do something about it, right? So I think what I need to do is maybe start some type of way and that's true. Hey, Sherm just hit a nail on the head too. This is about expectation management again. He says we never own the blocks. right?
Right.
How can we? And that's another variable to consider too. So we need to find a way to just have equity in the block instead of running the block.
Mm-hmm.
Running the block ain't that cool no more. I mean, it's just not. You know what I'm saying? Like, if it don't benefit us, like, until all us got some money, we ain't got nothing.
Right.
But man, look, let me go ahead and move to the next thing, man. Bro, we gotta talk about these myths. You ready?
Let's go.
Okay, let's see here. I gotta pull my myth list up again because I got it maximized. All right. Oh, I got the first one anyway. Let's see here. Atheists don't have morals without religion. Don't at me. So, let's just talk about our interaction. You know what I'm saying? With that over time. So, I vividly remember I had came back. What was I coming from? Afghanistan again?
Yep.
Okay. And at the time, you was a student at what school?
Faulkner.
Okay. What was going like? Okay, tell me something about Faulkner.
Oh yeah.
You remember this chat?
Faulkner. Yeah.
Okay.
Faulkner was a private Christian school.
Okay.
Like Church of Christ.
Okay.
Yeah. So it was like part of the requirements was every semester you had to take a Bible class or whatever. Right?
Okay.
And you know, after a while, you know what I'm saying, like you just got questioned. So shit, who better to ask then? You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
My man right here.
So in that, I don't remember the exact conversation, but like when I said what I said at that moment in time, you was like, you disagree with me because of I don't remember what you used as a counterpoint, but I was like, okay. And man, my objection was I said, what does your belief system do for black people? Do you remember that pause you had?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Like, but it's a simple question, though, right?
Right.
So when you can't answer the simple questions, at some point, doesn't it make sense to examine the applicability of it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Like so let's just go to something that's just non-spiritual, non-moral, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you got, let's see, pick a cable service. You pick one.
DirecTV.
All right, DirecTV. You got DirecTV, but you spend more time on the road or watching stuff on your computer, streaming and stuff like that, right?
Right.
At some point, you're gonna say, everybody else got cable, but like I don't really use mine, so why I got it, right?
Right.
At some point, you're gonna be like, I'm dumping cable. Right or wrong?
Gotta get rid of it.
All right. Are you using cable right now? Matter of fact.
Nope.
Okay.
I got YouTube TV.
Okay. That's great. Because I've been scared to make that plunge too. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm getting rid of it after Game of Thrones. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm just going to mail that shit back. I got the box on deck. But I'm not going to have no situation where I'm not going to be able to see it, but we'll talk about that later too. That should be a good episode too. I think it's just other ways where we get divest from certain infrastructures. You know what I'm saying? Again, talk about start small when it comes down to group economics. Even though we don't own it, I'm just saying we got to stop paying certain people. You know? But anyway, so when I looked at the applicability of it all, you know, I was like, you know, the way my life goes doesn't match up with that. And then I saw more of it when I traveled to different countries, you know what I'm saying, and lived in different countries and had to interact with people from, I'm in one country, but people from other countries I'm working with too, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So it's layer upon layer upon layer. And then I travel back home to Texas, and then I go visit home in Birmingham, and I got like a scale where it's just like constantly fluctuating, you know what I'm saying, where Some people are devout, but then when I look at their communities, I'm like, what I'm saying, the structure that you go into to worship isn't adding value to your community, and it reflects. You know, at what point do we just say, "Hey, man, we got to get about the business of black people because we are a business," you know, um, and seeing where that fits. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't be, what I'm saying, a devout believer of your particular faith, but the minute that it becomes, um, counterproductive and counterintuitive, we have to be, what I'm saying, cognizant enough of that to deal with it, you know, as appropriately, what I'm saying, as possible, without shaming people, because this is the other thing too that I experienced in my disassociation from religious subscription, right? I went through a phase where people challenged my own intelligence because I didn't believe the same thing they believed. Now, granted, most of them people weren't that smart anyway. But, like, again, I should never be held into a certain conversation a man should never have his name mixed up in. Your name should never be mixed up in pedophilia, sexual, misconduct, or, shit like that. You know what I'm saying? Stuff that's really, really negative that you can't get out of. But, like, at no point should you ever associate my name with being stupid.
Oh, sure.
I ain't no sheep. I'm not unaware of my own surroundings, and I'm an expert of myself. You know what I'm saying? And most people that echo those negative sentiments and objections to your personal choices, they're not experts of themselves. I've been in situations, where I hold, quite a bit of information on some people, but it's just not in me to go tell their business. You know what I'm saying? Because that's just not the way I function. I would want somebody to protect my information. But at no point did I ever say, like, this is because of your belief system why you function the way you function. But I've had people that borrow money from me and say, God bless me. But they know what my alignment is. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm like, would you go, like, some people really be thinking, that the doctor didn't go to school for what they did. They think that, you know what I'm saying? Them thoughts and prayers. They thought them thoughts and prayers did that biopsy.
Right. Yeah.
So, and I use the term atheist too as a socialized term. You know what I'm saying? Because, like, some folks would say, "Oh, atheist. Oh, you mean agnostic? You think wait a minute. So on one hand, you think I'm intelligent, and then I use the word atheist, and you say, "Oh, I mean." Don't tell me what you thought I meant. You know what I'm saying? To make yourself comfortable. I am.
So is that just meant it's something to go against?
I don't know, man. I don't like to interpret what people's thoughts are, but I'd rather defend my space than try to interpret where they got the association from or the correlation. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because I don't need that. And this the other part where it messes them up. So some folks think that because you're an atheist, you don't practice the same belief systems they do, and they get distracted by the fact that, like, you don't have a belief system. You know what I'm saying? I don't have someone that I pray to, or anything like that. You know what I do? I reinforce people that reinforce me because I believe in certain people.
Right. Okay.
Somebody said, I think morals are based in religion. No, I don't believe that. I think your morals are based in what your grandparents gave you.
Okay, then where did religion get morals from?
Yeah. Were people not, like, before Moses went on the mountain and got the 10 Commandments, and it says one of the 10 Commandments was about adultery, right? Did people not have enough morals from just social interaction not to sleep with another man's wife? Do we know that?
That kind of already had to be a thing because that's just like a top 10 list, right?
Yeah, it's a top 10. Like, think about everything that got left off of it.
Right. So for that to make the list, we had to already had decided as a community that
Somebody had that conversation.
that's not cool.
Somebody went on Hebrew Live and had a conversation about, hey man, we got to stop people sleeping for folks' wives. That shit ain't. Put that shit on the Ten Commandments. Put it on the Ten Commandments.
So that's before religion. So why do I need to have religion to have moral?
And was those people black? That's what I'm saying.
No.
Yeah. Some people say, my man Joe said, I think morals are the basis on which you hold yourself accountable, and it's purely personal and not inherited. I don't know about that because I think it's also based on legal terms too. Because there's some folks you want to kill that you just know you go to jail for, and there's some folks that deserve to be killed.
Yeah.
So I don't agree with that either.
No, I think morals are inherited.
Mm-hmm.
They come from somewhere.
Morals give you an individual construct. They give you some structure. That's just the bottom line. I look at what the intent of the Bible was as far as Christianity in terms of like what black people fit into it. I think it was a first attempt at structure. You got to have some laws. Yeah. Right. Hey, and George, I see your comment. He said, "I'm not saying you need religion to have morals. I'm saying that the idea probably came from religion." Yeah, which is why I'm saying I think religion is a first attempt at structure. That's all it is on how to manage a society, because you got to have society managed. Whether it's capitalism, socialism, whatever it might be, communism, all of those are structures, and they have something in it that tries to align a moral compass so they don't have to worry about some things.
Right.
Yeah, and Joe, some folks have nothing to lose in their own view, and that's true. And that's based on where they are, and that's also another residual impact of living in, a something for something society. Like if we lived someplace where, and this is utopian, but if all of our energy was ran on solar power and water power and wind power and whatever other natural source of energy that we can harness, we wouldn't have people with utility bills, right? We'd have people with, so companies could function cheaper and maybe pay people more, right?
Mm-hmm.
But who's to say that those corporate companies don't have an agreement already with the power companies, where they have to skim, some sort of money is a something for something society as long as it's capitalism. You know what I'm saying? That's my point. Like, it's too many different angles to look at it, and I don't want to go down a conspiracy theory rabbit hole. But if you understand how capitalism works, or not necessarily its intent on what it's meant to do, but the types of people it produces in order to make it run to get personal agendas passed and brought to the forefront, then you'll lose your mind thinking about different types of ways it could work. You know what I'm saying? But for me personally, the term atheist, I really just like the fact that it's non-believer more than anything. I like the fact that it's a socialized term so people can be distinguished underneath that banner. I felt like, based on my personal travels in life, things that I've seen, the trauma I've witnessed, and my own personal walks, I was like, I can't be a part of no particular faith, because like this is the thing, Christianity drove the slave trade in America, transatlantic slave trade, and people say, well, I don't want to be a Christian, so I'm gonna be a Muslim. But the Arab slave trade, used the backs of black people too 1,000 years before the Christian slave trade began. That's what I called it too, the Christian slave trade. Right. So you're going to pick some moral alignment, a moral compass that has, that type of impact, as well. And the minute that you got to ask a bunch of simple questions that can't be answered with a simple response, it's probably some bullshit too.
Right.
Straight up.
So you got to conjure up anyway.
Yeah. So Uh, I think principles are more important than morals
Okay.
because principles encompass your morals, right? Like you could know
Right.
better, but when you do better, it becomes a principle action.
Okay.
You agree with that?
Yeah.
Because
I got you.
if you don't have any morals that like if when we associate morals with what we do for other people, right?
Mhm.
In terms of representing ourselves too, Well, no, morals about other people. Like I wouldn't mistreat you. You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't mishandle you. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Right.
It becomes a principle when I honestly just can't do it because it's going to impact more than you, and I'm gonna misrepresent myself.
Mhm. Okay. I got
So your principle got to encompass morals, right?
you. Right.
So that's why, like, we get mad at church folks like Joel Osteen. You remember during Hurricane Harvey when he went to open his church, he said it was flooded. Then everybody went
Mhm.
looking for it and tried to see what was flooded.
When they found it,
Yeah, when they found it, right?
what what flood?
What part of Christianity is that?
Hmm.
Based on morals.
I don't know.
Okay. What part
Cause
of
it's based on Christianity, that should have been the first place open.
mm, I feel like in that regard, you know, I put principles over morals all day because you have to have morals in order to create principles. And I'm not saying they
One
can't be,
hundred percent.
and I'm not saying that you can't have principles that don't that create certain morals either. You know what I'm saying? But principles are associated with business. It's
Right.
associated with policy. You know, that's why
Right.
like companies put out things in their policy that like the principal lease of this company, blah 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 blah. You know,
Mhm.
because it's associated with business.
Yeah. But some people, man, they just it's hard to let go of that too, man. You've been raised to that religion, and the religion teaches you that anybody that goes against the religion ain't. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Everybody that disagrees with your belief system is now the
Yep.
enemy. Or they practice
Yep.
or they work for the devil. Bro, I ain't got that kind of time.
Mhm. Yep.
You know what I'm saying? I work for people that represent me. Or you know what I'm saying? Or my ambassadors, Like, Drew, when you pull up somewhere and and when we finally get this thing set up to where we got your face on it, you know what I'm saying? And when you move to Texas and you pull up over here in the office and we pull up, we had this chat, and I got a mic in the corner already put up. You can't. It's over there in the corner on the other side of that fridge. You know what I'm saying? That's your
Right.
mic. And
Let's go.
and when you pull up, this your space too. You know, that's who I work for. My principles are rooted in you. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And folks that represent me because I care about how I'm seen. But at the same time, I represent you too.
Yep.
Like when folks see me at some point, they're gonna be like, "Oh, you the one to do got the cousin named Andrew." Like, yeah, you absolutely right. You know. So,
Got to, man. It's got to be that way.
mm-hmm.
That's a great way to look at it, man.
Yeah,
Because it's
I,
morals and principles are bigger than us.
yep. I principles over morals all day. That's the reason why I said don't at me. It ain't nothing to talk about because I don't treat you no worse or better. In most cases, I treat people better than they've ever experienced. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't when they fall off, or if they fall off or whatever it might be, I don't blame you know some unseen person to explain why what I'm saying that behavior came about. You know,
Right.
I understand people go through things and all of us don't respond the same way. And if I keep it simple, it creates a great expectation management for people to decide they want to be allies. You know what I'm saying? That's what I care about. We need more allies right now. You know?
Exactly.
And I'm not trying to vote nobody off the island until they misrepresent me. The minute they do that, it ain't even no cutoff game, man. I pretend they died.
It's over.
It's over. It never happened. Men in Black Pen, bro.
Right. Whatever happened to I don't know. What you talking about?
Who? Done. And you really gotta have that. You know what I'm saying?
Because that's all we got right now is our representation, man. Until we get something else. Right now, it's all about how we represent.
Yep. So the first topic was within the first subtopic within the current topic is that atheists don't have morals without religion. I got principles, bro. You know what I'm saying? And for those of y'all that's watching, I ain't no believer. I don't follow no belief system. I don't need none of that. And all y'all still fuck with me. So they're saying something. All right. So.
Valid point.
Yeah. Straight up.
Valid point.
So let's look at the next one, right? My Facebook friend Elise Sadler, put on here that snitching and loyalty are the same thing. She's not available to comment, but you and I had a conversation earlier this week about how one of our he's your best friend and he's my pseudo cousin. You know what I'm saying? Right. You know what I'm saying? He fam. Straight up.
Yeah, he fam.
Yep. Prime example of all family ain't blood. He should have been blood.
Yeah.
He should have been blood.
Yeah, man. Yeah, he should have been, man. He should have been.
Yo.
I mean, oh yeah.
Hey! Shout out to Gerald. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. My boy, what's his name on Facebook? He was just watching.
Yeah. Let me go ahead and look at. I'm finna tag him right now. I.B. Hegler. What?
Man, I.B. Hegler. Tag, hell yeah.
I just got him, yo. Come on, hey, come on.
You need to be watching, man.
Hey, it don't matter.
I'm about to tell this story. Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Tell this story.
Mm-hmm.
So this, you know what I'm saying? This my boy. I probably known this dude since I was 8 years old. I'll be 38 next month. So man, we was in high school. I had got also my parents bought me a car at 16. So of course, if you meet him in the car all the time, man. Shout out to Woodlawn High School, man, by the way. So we man, so of course then I had met this little girl. You know what I'm saying? First little girlfriend or whatever. So we skipping school. Crazy, like every other day I'm skipping school, man. Riding around with the chick. We just riding around. So it got to a point where I'm letting the girl drive the car now. You know what I'm saying? You know, that's rule number one. When your parents get you a car, nobody drives the car but you. So I'm letting the chick drive the car. So one day my mom busts me just out of nowhere, like, she just take the car. She's like, yo, let me get them keys. So I'm like, hold on, man, what's going on? So she was like, yeah, I seen you been letting your little girlfriend drive the car or whatever. I'm like, no. Like, what are you talking about? She was like, no, I followed you to school or whatever. I seen the girl driving the car. So I was like, yo, okay, this story ain't adding up. But I could never prove no otherwise. So I let it go. Man, you know, years later, me and my boy Gerald talk about the situation. And he was like, yo, I told your mom the girl was driving the car. I'm like, man, what are you talking about? I said, how you snitch on your boy? He was like, nah, man, he was wild. Mm-hmm. Which he was right. I was out of control, man.
So
you know what I'm saying? So in, you know what I'm saying? In hindsight, he was right on time. Yeah. But if I would have found out back then he did it, we probably would have fought. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. But 5-6 years go by, you hear the story again, you laugh at it. Yeah. Because you know he was right all along.
Yeah. Yeah, because you knew what you was doing was sustainable.
Right.
Like you told that last story about how your daddy, you know what I'm saying, like ended up getting you to sign up and join the military. Yo, that shit was hilarious. You know what I'm saying?
All right.
So, and you ain't had no reason to be skipping no school, bro. You was a sophomore on senior skip day.
Sophomore, senior skip day. I'm in these streets.
Like,
in these streets. Foul, man.
so you benefited from snitching that time, right?
Benefited from snitching that time. Snitching might have saved my life.
Hey, him snitching on you might have saved your life.
Yeah.
Like that. Now look, I want to talk about some thresholds on snitching though. You know what I'm saying? Because like I understood what I think I understand what she had to contribute, right? She was saying that
I need some clarity on that.
Yeah, because what she was saying was pretty much that snitching is loyalty. I think that's why I wanted her to talk, but I'm gonna try to interpret that in a way that, you know what I'm saying, I try to see both sides of it, right? I'm always objective. I make it a point to be until we talk about Trump. You know, fuck that dude. But in her regard, I want to try to make sure I don't misrepresent what she was saying. But I think what she was trying to capture was that sometimes we do our communities a disservice by not snitching. You know what I'm saying? When you live in a place that you're trying to fix, right? Mm-hmm. And you start talking about what's counterproductive for that, right?
Okay.
Like, you want to buy back the block. Another one of them phrases that we keep going back to, right? Mm-hmm. But how you going to attract people to the block once you're ready to rent it? Especially if it's crime laden, right?
Right.
You might have affordable rent, decent creature comforts, and access to great mom and pop stores. You know, real organic, right?
Right.
But I'm not moving over there if my life could be, you know what I'm saying, a little bit more in danger. I'm not saying your life can't be in danger anywhere. But what I'm saying is that
constant danger.
Correct. Yes. I just want to go to the store and get some gas. You know? Why I gotta fight for my life, you know what I'm saying, 10 minutes down the street? Maybe less than, right?
Right.
So in that regard, when you start talking about that, when you start figuring out ways to clean up crime, if crime is our issue. Like I'm just using crime because it's a socialized discussion, right? Mm-hmm. I don't see how not snitching helps. I mean, like, yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, by not snitching, are you helping your community?
Oh, okay.
You see what I'm saying?
So we going for the loyalty of the community over loyalty of the person.
Correct. I think that's what she was trying to get at. You know what I'm saying? That
makes a whole lot more sense.
Like for instance, like Gerald snitched on you out of loyalty to you.
Right.
And the only thing you had to potentially deal with is just that your mama, you know what I'm saying, found out.
That was the biggest threat, right?
Yeah. Hey, auntie. Hey, straight up, that's my favorite auntie, man. Hey, you know what I'm saying? When she gave me that Taco Bell, I knew that she really, really loved me. You know, I had finally realized that she loved me. She might not love me with what she gave me, but what I'm saying is that she cared about my well-being to feed me. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And then that's when and then when I talked to my mama, man, she told me that my auntie had me all the time, and I didn't know that. You know?
For sure.
Yeah.
I told you, man, we recently just learned all that stuff.
Yeah.
And vice versa. Like, yeah. I recently found out like your mom would come and pick me up all the time.
Man, yo, there's some benefits to getting older, man. You know what I'm saying? A lot of it. Yeah, like you don't know how closely tied you are until you get to certain points in your life. You know what I'm saying? Where your mama can, you know what I'm saying, give you that game about why the bond is what it is. Because like, man, some kids been around each other forever, bro, and then when they get a little bit older, they don't even fuck with each other.
That be it.
Mm-hmm.
That be it.
Right.
But it wasn't no accident, man.
Okay. But hey, I don't want to get into glorifying like how awesome our parents were for us. You know what I'm saying? Because that should be a constant conversation, and it is, you know, for us. Yeah. But like,
shout out to the moms.
Yeah, we love y'all. Okay. Let's see here. My man Marcus Bethea said, well, there is a difference between snitching and talking to police. I agree with that. Like if you catch some, like let's say you out there in the streets, right? and um, you got a half a brick of yay on you. Take your motherfucking charge, man. That's your shit.
That's your shit.
Who got caught with it? You
You.
did.
So it's yours.
You eat that. Ain't nothing else to talk about. You just take the time that come with it.
Mm-hmm.
So, in that regard, there's a difference between, you know what I'm saying, like, look, get your lawyer and fight your case, bro. That's it. You get ate up, you know what I'm saying, and be there when they spit the bones out.
That's it. But that's the game you playing, man.
And that's the, yeah, right, that's the consequences, right? That's the fine print.
Right. And that determines snitching. I saw somebody say I need a definition of snitching. I think snitching is all dependent on what your role is and what you're snitching on.
Correct. Like, if you ain't had no involvement in the specific event that necessitates an arrest, or an involvement in police and detectives and stuff like that, right?
Right.
Then, and if it's all for personal motivation, that's got to be part of it too. Like, if you benefit from the action.
Yes, like you have no right. You benefit from the act, or you're mad at the person. You know what I'm saying? That you snitching on. I think that should be put in the snitch category.
Yeah, and my man Sherman said to me, snitching is when you catch a charge and you tell on others that aren't caught up in attempts to get leniency. That's just it. You know?
Yes.
Like, you got to catch your charge. Now, if you saw somebody shoot Lil Pojo and them, and you got to walk past the spot where Lil Pojo and them got shot, you need to let somebody know.
Yes.
Because that could be your ass, and then you'll be up here mad. Well, your family members will be mad.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you got to be involved. You know? And look, Marcus just said the same thing. Yep. So, if both of y'all got caught up, and both of y'all eat it.
That's simple.
Period.
So if you want to change the dynamics of snitching, the definition of snitching been snitching. It's been the same.
Yep, been the same. Ain't shit changed.
I'm trying to change it.
Nope. Like, some other definitions have evolved. You know what I'm saying? But, like, if you involved in a way of living, in a way of life, that snitching is a regular conversation, you need to, you know what I'm saying, behave accordingly.
Right. You in that game. You sign up for that.
Mm-hmm.
Innocent bystanders aren't snitching, man.
Yep.
They gotta have somebody looking out for their safety too. They're not in the game.
Yep. So, I don't want to beat that, you know what I'm saying, into the dirt. I think the folks that's in this timeline get it. You know, so, and somebody said you get the same charge whether you snitch or not. I'm not sure how that applies or whatever. Yeah.
Hopefully I'm never in that position.
Yeah. But like, from the air, like, and it's interesting talking about this topic with guys that are younger than us. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You know, so, like,
because I always want to know what they think about.
Yeah, I got to. You know what I'm saying? So, I'm going to close that one out, though. You know what I'm saying? And since we're speaking about younger kids and their definitions, right? Guess what the third thing is, right?
What's the third one?
Kicking your kids out is a good idea. The younger generation.
Well, there's been a lot of debate about that, too.
Okay. Well, I always like to start with our personal experiences. Because I want to be relatable.
Well, yeah. I guess that would be me, huh?
Yeah, you younger than me, so you got to start.
Yeah. Well, my personal experience again, when did I get kicked out of the house? Oh, shit. Well, that was shortly after my high school career ended. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's when I went to Job Corps and all of that. We did that story last time.
Oh man, yeah. But like you was the guy that's selling Lucy's at Job Corps.
Right. The Lucy God.
Yeah.
3 for $5. But anyway,
I'm
uh,
gonna spit my shit out, bro. Had to put my cup down.
I think for me it was necessary
Okay.
because I think they saw in me early that he gonna get too comfortable. With I guess you just gotta know. It's almost like coaching. You just gotta know your individual play.
It's
So,
case dependent. It's about strengths and weaknesses.
yeah, you gotta know. So somewhere they figured out that I needed to be under the gun at some point.
Mm-hmm.
Because
You had been challenged.
yeah, if it's too comfortable for him, he just gonna go with the flow. Like he just gonna flow whichever way you going. So that's what they did. So and it just, you know what I'm saying? For me, that was just my okay, boom. Like once something's mandatory, then it's got to happen. Ain't no option. Like, but that's a fault of mine that I have too.
Yeah, like you function well when you don't have no options.
I'm clutch.
When
like,
you got to be
it's
clutch.
It's like I gotta be under some type of pressure.
But the reality is, we got to get out of clutch situations, right? Because we already see it, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
We agree on that.
That's a fault. Yeah, 100%. Even though I come through most of the time,
Mm-hmm.
it's just unnecessary pressure.
Like, why do we have to be clutch? You see what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
When I already know what's going on, just go ahead and handle the business. But I see a lot of debate with that going because a lot of white people tend to let their kids stay till they're 25, 30 years old.
For me,
they get established and all of that. So that's the debate I've been seeing going around with black people because black people, we hit 18, we trying to kick you out.
But this is the thing though. My comment to that is that white people don't lead a black life. So why the fuck do we give a about? Why the fuck do we care about what it takes for white people to justify why their kids should stay at home? They got white kids, bro. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's some lessons that they ain't got to learn.
Mm-hmm.
And there's some struggles that they don't got to have. I think some of our kids need some of these struggles, man. Because some of them need a boost.
Yep. I mean, like, look, if you don't get no adversity, like, you doing them a disservice. Do you agree or disagree?
You can't just give it to them, man. You can't make it too easy. You gonna regret it.
They're gonna be your burden, right?
Yep. Because they're gonna be right there waiting on you to make it easy for them every time.
Okay. Well, let me tell my background on that. So, old Veronica Vinziant and Johnny Vinziant gave me the talk. He said, you got to be in school, you know what I'm saying, to stay here. And the minute that you make some kids, you got to get on out. They told me it's in your best benefit that I made no kids because you're going to have to leave. Like, they were telling me
straight up
coded language, which is kind of the topic of, you know what I'm saying, what the name of, you know what I'm saying, this session is called Code Talk, right?
Right.
So, my mama been speaking to me in code for a long time, and that's mostly because I've been able to interpret, you know what I'm saying, what she was trying to do. And I talk about my mom a lot because my dad didn't come from a nurturing era for black men. You know what I'm saying? No disrespect to my pops, but I'm a product of my mom's situational awareness. Okay? So when it was time for me to make my exit, you know what I'm saying, after, you know, like different option evaluation and stuff, I chose the Army because, like, that's why I got a complete theory about, like, why the demographics of the military are what they are, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so in that regard, I did grow up, and as I got older, I did see where, you know, I had a friend of mine, you know what I'm saying, that's like pseudo cousin, you know. Like, I ain't gonna release his name, that's unnecessary, you know what I'm saying, but you met him when I was home, you know what I'm saying, when we was watching Bama beat up on Oklahoma.
Okay.
We was at his house, you know.
Yeah, bet.
So his parents set conditions for him to stay as long as he needed to, as long as they saw fit, until he had a kid. You know what I'm saying? Then he had to go out on his own. They gave him a good start. I do think that this topic is based on situations. Because, like, if you grew up in a household where you got more kids than bedrooms available, then you got to kick somebody out. Sorry.
Right.
But it's incumbent upon that parent to make sure that they are preparing that child to exit too.
Yep.
Because, like, if you realistic about, and we talking about expectation management again, if you work a job that doesn't have a whole lot of ceilings for you to break through financially, you got to start telling them, say, hey, look, I don't make that much money. It ain't going to change in the next 3 to 4 years. All right. This is what the fuck you got to do. And as harsh as it sounds, we talking about us, though. You know what I'm saying? White people don't have these discussions like this. And I might be making a leap. But I ain't talking about nobody but us right now, right? Mm-hmm. We got to be realistic and say, hey, look, you got to get out. You know what I'm saying? It ain't because I don't love you, but it's because we don't have the space and nothing's going to change.
You have to go out there and get it.
You got to go out there and get it, right? And there ain't nothing wrong with that, you know, in that regard. And we talking about black people. So when we talk about kicking people out, we ain't Asian folks. We ain't Jewish. We ain't no other ethnic group. We don't have the same tools internally to afford us the financial cushion to allow a big grown-ass dude or chick, you know what I'm saying, to stay off in our place. You got to go out in the world and get what it is that the world got to offer.
Right. You got to go make it happen for you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm taking you as far as I can take you.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a sad situation.
We don't have luxury, bro. All these other, and look, man. Ooh, I just thought about this piece. You know what the other thing that them other ethnic groups had that we didn't have?
What?
Think about it. I'm gonna give you 3 seconds. 3, 2, 1. All right. They didn't have they had reparations and we didn't.
Okay.
All right. Hold on. I wish I had them. I need to have them shots available right now.
You need the gunshots right
if
now.
I had the gunshots, yeah. If I had the gunshots, this would be a spot for gunshots. Like this is multiple gunshots going off right now, and I'm gonna go and sip my drink. Matter of fact,
we never get to talk about that.
Yes, like and that's part of our maturity in saying, you know, I understand what we didn't get, but this is what we got to work with. You know what I'm saying? Like if we got about our business in group economics, buying back the block instead of actually just repeating that fucking phrase, and not even buying back the block. Let's just stop saying that. Let's just start saying equity in the block. Mm-hmm. Let that marinate. And creating an economic foothold, like my man Sherman just said. I call it economic equity. E squared. That might be a good name for a business venture down the line too. You know, let me write that down.
Economic equity.
E squared. We're going to call that shit E squared. It's like 2 E's. You know what I'm saying? If we got about that, we can create our own reparations.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
Because we determine our start point and our low point, right?
Right.
So why don't we take this social capital that we have right now and create some economic equity, you know what I'm saying, in our situation. And then the other part is, like Sherm said, they had an economic foothold, but in order to have a foothold, you have to have a culture that promotes small business ownership. You have to have something to pass down to your people. You know what I'm saying? But in every situation with black folks, when we were economically efficient, they burned the fuck up. They burned us out.
Yep.
Wilmington, North Carolina, Black Wall Street, race, also known as the race riots in Tulsa. It wasn't no fucking race riots. It was the National Guard, sponsored by the federal government, that came in and burned us the fuck out. You know what I'm saying? Numerous riots in Harlem. You know? Like, there's a lot of coded language, again, based on code talk. If you go out and watch Harlem Nights again, they showed us being successful in the shit that we do. We go to strip clubs, we shoot dice, you know what I'm saying? We dress clean. Right. All of that, right?
All that shit.
You know? So, there's too many different variables to break it down, but what we got to do is say, you know what, man, look, these are circumstances and this is what the fuck we got to work with. You know? And
because you got to start somewhere.
You got to start, and starting somewhere is based on what you got to work with from the jump, from the get-go. Do we disagree with that?
Right.
Which is why I said if we buying fake jewelry, we need to be buying fake jewelry. And, hey, look, for the folks that watching, I buy my shit from Tracks NYC, all right? Because somebody going to say that chain got to be fake. Hey, man, fuck. Hey, if you think it's fake, fuck you and whoever burped you. Yo. Hey, my bad, man. I know you done had surgery. You know what I'm saying? And it's kind of different. Hey, straight up. You know what I'm saying?
I'm going to lose one of these fucking staples.
Hey, bro, you going to be all right, man. You know what I'm saying? But I'm not going to turn down. You just going to have to bite your jaw.
Right. Just got to bite my
This is who I been. You're not finna change my life. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, man.
Who I been for 39 years. And then I got 2 staples ain't finna change my life. You know what I'm saying? Them your staples. You take them staples, bro. Hey, take them. My bad, man. My bad.
Oh, boy.
Hey, man, I love you, bro.
You suck, man.
Oh, shit. Yeah, I'll be that. So, I don't know if kicking your kids out is a bad thing. I benefited from it. But the thing is, though, my mom and dad didn't have to kick me out. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was inevitable. I had 2 jobs at one point, bro. Like, when I was 17. I've always had 2 jobs up until the time that I joined the military. And I remember one time, my daddy was complaining that I was in the house. Oh, no, wasn't at home enough. And I was like, what? I got 2 jobs. Right. You ain't never here to do the dishes. I was like,
damn.
And to me, I'm thinking, I'm like, the dishes don't pay enough. That's what I'm thinking.
Right.
I was like, my bad.
How much are those dishes?
Yeah. Like, and then we talk about when minimum wage was $4.25 an hour. You know what I'm saying?
He wants you to come home and do the dishes?
Man, he was saying...
Why you can't just say you miss me, man?
Yeah. That's what missing your child was really about. You know what I'm saying? Like, you didn't do the dishes.
Man, fuck them dishes, man. Why don't you just say you want to...
I was telling the city. I lived at the house. He said, I miss you. He couldn't say I miss you. He said, why you don't do the dishes?
Man, we can come watch... Why don't you come watch a game with me or something, man? Just say
something like that.
God damn.
Yo, I got some cold stories, bro. You know what I'm saying?
Weak ass dishes.
Dishes weak as fuck.
Right. Come on, man. You ain't home enough to do the dishes. But you look like I'm just in the street. I'm at work.
That's what I'm saying. Bro, I worked at Payless. Bro, let me tell you. When I was 17 and in the summer, I worked at Western Supermarket. Monday, well, I say it like this. Monday through whatever days they had me, because I might be working the weekends at the grocery store, because I was bagging groceries, right?
Right.
But it's only certain shifts I could work on the weekend, because I worked at McDonald's on the weekend.
Man.
On top of that, right?
Okay.
And then at some point, I quit McDonald's and I started working at Payless. But let me just say this going forward. I always worked at Western Supermarket. That was primary. So the second
Right.
job was always either McDonald's, Payless, something else, right? Until I got a better
Right.
job. You know, um, and in Birmingham, that's a norm. People got two jobs.
Yes.
Like everybody got two jobs until the right one pays them the right amount of money.
Exactly. Because you got a certain way you want to survive.
Right. Because the goal is not to stay at your mama's house.
That's the goal.
So the threat of putting your kid out actually adds value to you in your later years. Because
Mm-hmm.
you got to go. Straight up,
Yeah.
you can't stay here. Get your ass. I want to walk around
Yeah,
naked.
brother.
I want to.
Yes.
I want
You
to
have
walk
been
through
here
here.
long enough.
Yo, I want to walk through here with Crocs and nothing else.
And that's it. What you gonna do, man?
Yeah. So and ultimately what I'm trying to say is this. Black folks that think that we got to keep black folks at the house, you know what I'm saying, past a certain age, man, y'all need to get off that bullshit. Straight up. You know what I'm saying? We ain't no other ethnic group but us. And this is the
Yeah.
variable that we got to work with. What you need to do is take what we've been talking about and prepare your children to exit.
We don't have time for you to wait till you 25.
No,
or 30.
we can't wait till you 16, 17, and 18 to have to talk about when you going to get the fuck out of my house. And it's not about just getting the fuck out of my house. It's about you asserting yourself as a responsible adult.
And going being productive.
Right. Because we're not raising children no more, bruh. We raising responsible adults.
Yep. We should be raising people to help push the community forward.
Correct. We should be. Look, say that again. I wish I had the shots.
Yeah. We should be raising people that are gonna grow up and push the community forward.
Yeah, since I don't have the digital shots, I'm gonna take the liquid shots.
Right?
Mm. So let's not beat that one. You know what I'm saying anymore. All right.
Right.
Let's see here. The other myth. There seems to be a myth in the black community who can accept a hand from one another in finding success. We'd rather struggle twice as hard to get half as far for the sake of saying, I did it on my own. That's part of the reason why group economics doesn't work for us. That's from Sherman Glover. His name is spelled backwards, so if you out here trying to pronounce his name, you're going to have an issue. So, Drew, this is what I'm about to do. I'm about to call him right now on three-way. Stand by. Yeah. Yo. Sharon, what's going on, bro? You are live right now, bro. I told you the next time I call you, you're going to be live. Hey, man, why your phone so low, man? I got my volume turned all the way up. You better not be on no Android shit, too.
You know what? I was going to tell you to call me on my work phone because that's an iPhone, but can you hear me now?
Yeah, do you and me? No, it shit still sound bad. But we going to rock with it, though, because I think you sound enough. I'm just saying you sound bad, but you sound good enough for a lot of the Android users in my timeline. You speaking it like...
You just think I'm driving.
All right, bro. So, like, let me give you my thoughts on your initial comment, right? Okay, let me repeat it for people that just tuned in. So we're on topic number 4. You guys are gonna see a different layout when I get ready to publish this on YouTube. But the current topic is this. There seems to be a myth in the black community that we can't accept a hand from one another in finding success. We'd rather struggle twice as hard to get half as far for the sake of saying, I did it on my own. That's part of the reason why group economics doesn't work for us. My interpretation of that is that there are certain people within our expectation management for group economics that don't fit. There's some people that I feel are actually part of the situation that helps push black agendas further than where they are, you know. But that's why I call Sherman, you know what I'm saying, off the bat. For those of you that have been trying to pronounce his name with the N first and having facial strokes, I would rather him, you know what I'm saying, say his piece on that. But before we go any further, I'd like for my cousin Drew to offer his point on that too.
Well, excuse me. I think, man, we could. I guess it just depends on what kind of hand we're talking about. Like, is it a just a come and sit down and we can talk about? I can give you some pointers on how I did mine, and you can take what you want from that.
So almost like a tutorial or something like that, or a seminar, something like
right.
that. Mm-hmm.
Right, or is it somebody looking for financial backing? Because I can see where that could somebody turning down some money, depending on based on you just might not be the person I want to get some money from.
Okay.
I guess it just all depends on like what the situation is. But I think in general, a lot of people do have that mindset. And I just want to say I'm self-made. I did it on my own. Ain't nobody help.
Yeah.
Even though nobody does anything on their own.
Well, like said that, like, and look, let me add back to that too before Sharon gets to talking. Like, we self-made, but we ain't out here mad at nobody. That we ain't asked nobody for help either.
Right.
And
right.
and in my personal involvement in this is that I was gonna go live anyway. You know what I'm saying? I was gonna chop it up. I was gonna do something. I had already published a book. I've been on my shit. You know what I'm saying? But I feel like I'm
right.
greater with you involved.
Right.
So, based on where I think I'm supposed to be, I feel like I can't do this without my cousin. You see what I'm saying? So like, okay. I didn't need nobody else to tell me, hey, you need to holler at Drew. But like, we got our own thing. You know what I'm saying? And we've always felt like we're meant to do something greater. And later on, you might have an idea that you say, I need to get Vic involved in this. You see what I'm saying? So like, it's about managing resources to me. You know what I'm saying? But like, I want to make sure, but that's my interpretation of it though. You know, I'd rather Sherm go ahead and speak for what he said and then go from there. Sherm, you got the floor, bro.
All right, can you hear me?
Yeah, we good.
All right, so this topic came from two different actually three different streams of thought. So the first stream of thought, not too long ago, I was talking to one of my brothers in Fayetteville, and we both kind of like, we're outdoors people. We like fishing and hunting and riding dirt bikes and four-wheelers and just being outside, right?
All right.
And we both got an ideology of buying some land at some point in time, putting a pond, a racetrack, blah, 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 on that land. So he's a young guy and he's just, establishing himself. So I said, you know what? I asked him the other day, I said, how about you just take like 10 grand and sit to the side? I take 10 grand and sit to the side, and rather than get one small plot, or rather than get two small plots of land, how about we get one big plot of land, and then we split it? You know what I'm saying? However we want to split it, but we have a community between me and you, blah 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 blah. And what I got was kind of like a facial expression that was like, oh yeah, I'll think about it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm like, well, it kind of made me think, where did we lose this group economics? Because I can think about when I was a kid. I was raised with my brother Desmond. And next door we had some friends. This is the second stream of thought. We had a couple of friends, Marvin and Tony. And this was when I was single-digit age. My brother was single-digit age. He was our best friend. And we had the idea, like, when we grow up, we're going to buy one big house on some land for all of us to live on, for all four of us to live on, and our families and stuff. And the question was, like, why did that thought process get lost, and when did it get lost because that's basically a principle of group economics. To me, you know what I'm saying? If we can all pull our resources and finances, and this came from another group that they were talking about pooling finances for business and stuff like that. And I'm like, well, you can do the same thing for real estate. If you decided, among some of your successful people that just don't have houses yet, y'all buy one house or one big plot of land, and you build one house, and y'all pool your resources and pay for that house. Then you build another house on a certain portion of the land, and then you got two people that digged up from that, and they got some ownership. We lost that somehow. Where did we lose that from? And was it like part out of us somewhere?
I can tell you where we lost it from. You ready to hear? We lost it from one level was slavery in general. Okay. We lost it from there, like from the start point, like from the inception of the transatlantic slave trade. I'd argue that, completely, because you don't even like where can you trace your ancestry to?
Well, see, now here's my thing is. Go ahead.
My point is like if you could trace your ancestry back to someone that was an entrepreneur in your family, you'd say, okay, now I have a reference point, right? Because like you could say, we come from a family of business owners, right? Right or wrong?
Yeah, but at the same time, here's my thing though. Me and my brother, we had this thought process in 1987, 1988. Slavery was long over by then.
I got that point.
So we lost that. We lost that between 1987, 1988, and 2019.
But this is
you see what I'm saying?
But I feel exactly what you're saying. But we're talking about separating people that's about something that want something. Those are two different things. You see what I'm saying? Like folks want something, and you don't have to be about shit. Right?
I got you.
Okay. So, that's why, like, if you know where your origins are rooted in, right? It changes the way you move. Do you disagree with that?
No, I can buy that.
Okay. So, and we talking about black people. We talking about cultural stuff. I'm not saying, like, other ethnic groups practice cultural stuff. You know what I'm saying? That's associated with owning business. We haven't gotten to that point where we've replicated that process enough to where it becomes the culture. Do you agree with that?
Well, yeah. I mean, because I think capitalism is not it's built against us because that's not organic to us. We're not organic to capitalism. As
right.
far as our ancestral lineage goes.
Yeah. So that's ultimately my point. We are setting the foundations for how we go forward as black in America. Do we disagree with that?
No.
We're at the forefront of that. You know what I'm saying? So like we can't really fault people for not understanding how important it is because we cross the same cultural understanding, intersections in life at different points because we either been functioning like with people that's been, like self-absorbed and trying to get what they can for themselves instead of the culture, right? And then we got some folks that have gotten what they can from the culture and benefited from it greatly financially and then talk shit about the same culture that they benefit from, right?
Agreed.
Okay, so when we get ready to bridge that gap and be able to talk about why we need to do this for the culture, when you got people on one side that have benefited and folks that have made disparaging, actions towards it to discredit it or to discredit the individual, therefore discrediting the culture, neither are ambassadors for the other, right? So once we create these different, if we cross that bridge, we mend that capitalistic mindset that we have amongst each other. You know what I'm saying? We haven't made it a digestible conversation for some people, Like, we got one side shaming and the other side talking shit that all look the same. And somebody stop me when I'm lying, man. Because like if you talking like if you're on the side of talking shit, I'm in a position where I can talk shit to people. You know what I'm saying? But how does that benefit us as a culture?
It don't. All you do is you end up alienating people because they think you're smart.
Correct.
I'm sorry. I take that back. You end up alienating weak people that think you're just a smart ass. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But that can have its benefits as well, though.
No,
Sometimes you don't want those weak people.
but the risk ain't worth the reward for the perception that I have of my folks.
Right. I mean, and that's where you weigh. That's where you weigh your desires versus the effect that you have on people.
Correct. I'm aware of my equity. You know what I'm saying? In my personal circles. I don't want to ever have to say shit that I can't say twice. You know what I'm saying? I don't want nothing that my wife got to defend me from in my absence. You know? Like, shit is really that real for me. You know? At this point in my life. I don't want my cousin to have to go fight nobody on my behalf because of something I said that I reneged on. You know what I mean? Like, everybody don't have that attachment with it. And I do think that comes in stages. You know what I'm saying? But when we talk about this particular topic, which is, you know, the myth in the black community that we can't accept a hand from one another in finding success, I absolutely believe that we can. Like right now, this whole thing is us rationalizing this thought, right? Because ultimately, the folks in the black community that I'm communicating with is the reasonable group of people. And
right, but they're few and far between because it's like when you
it's not
I feel like
it's not like, bro you it's not few and far between. We got to quit looking at numbers. We got to start the movement. You see what I'm saying? Like if you start off as saying it's few and far in between, right? Those are discouraging ways of looking at our situation. You know what I mean?
Oh no, I'm not discouraged. All I'm saying is, you know, when I look at the people that I can influence, like my brother, for example, you know, any of my brothers, for example, you know what I mean? We're all successful individuals and we're all progressive, you know what I mean? But at the same time, we don't work together. You know what I mean? Like I'm willing to work. You know, I got a certain financial status to where I got some, you know, small amounts of funds available to try to get people funded and doing what they want to do. But at the same time, I get people that look at me sometimes like, you know, why would you want to help me? You know what I mean? I made that in the comments, like.
But you working with me right now.
It's like you're not going to come up off. You know, you're not going to get a come up off of me just by giving me X amount of money to see my dreams come true.
Yeah. Go ahead, Drew. What you about to say?
And that's discouraging.
I tell him we got to get past that. Like he was just saying, that is discouraging, man. Because you just, you know what I'm saying? It's okay for somebody to want to help a creation. Everybody's, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not the most creative person. Like, some people are just born creators. Like, they can just do that. But there's also going to need to be people that are willing to fund the creators.
Right. And that's the thing that I think we lack in our community is that everybody's got a place. You know what I mean? Like, you got some people that are good with social, you know, social interaction. You got some people that are good at making money. You got some people that are good with technology and being in a room with a computer and making shit happen. You know,
we're diverse.
It seems like we can never. Yeah, we're diverse, but it seems like we struggle with webbing those things together and connecting them to where it can be efficient and work for us.
Well, like
you said, we too busy worrying about who's gonna profit off of us.
Okay.
And we'll look at the big picture, we like the whole community is gonna profit and prosper. You know what I mean? If we do it right, and guess what? Here's the thing. We're scared of failure, right? We're scared of failure, so when we look at each other, we're like, oh, well, this ain't gonna work. But we'll sit there and look at the white dude and be like, oh, well, you know, I'll give him my money. And guess what? The rate of failure is relatively the same.
Okay.
They fail too.
Yeah. Like.
Say what?
He said he failed too.
They fail too.
Right.
Yep.
but it's a whole lot easier. It's like the skids are already greased for us to give them our money, and we're more accepting of that. Like, oh well, and it's almost like we feel like we did something wrong, and the reason why this white man fell versus giving our money to or investing our money. And I usually use like the Walmart thing. We can go to Walmart 10 times and they can fail, 3 out of the 10 times, a 30% failure rate, and we'll go back thinking that they'll fix it. But we go to a black business, 5 times they fail 1 time, it's like, oh, they don't know what they're doing. Rather than actually trying to mentor them, the same way that we do Walmart, or the same way we try to do Kmart and Ames and all those other places.
Okay.
Too hard on ourselves, man. We too hard on ourselves.
Okay.
Too hard on ourselves.
Okay, so
I don't think that we're too hard on ourselves. I think that we're not forgiving enough on ourselves.
Okay.
It's okay to be hard.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, that's a better way to say it.
That makes sense too.
Fuel shop is still, but what we'll do is we'll say we'll be hard on ourselves and expect a change in the product or the customer service, but then we won't go back there to see if the change actually took place. Whereas
because they did us dirty the last time.
Yep. We gotta give them time to grow, man. We gotta They need support to get to where we expect them to be day one.
Yep.
The same level y'all expect them to be the day y'all go in there. You expect them to be a 5-star business. They gonna need support to get there. Right.
Yep. So
that's what we gotta do.
So we gotta create.
They need our support to get there.
So we gotta create a community of forgiveness also.
We got to give people opportunity to grow. It's just like dealing with human beings.
All right.
You got to let that business grow, man.
All right. So my thing is this though, which is and let me bring it back home too, man, because like we talked about a lot of broad topics because we're looking at where we want to be, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we also talking about where we are, right? So how do we make those things connect? Let me give my spin on it. When I was trying to figure out how to bridge the gap between where I am individually to where black people have said we need to be, we went from talking about where we are to saying, man, black people need to come together, right? So we got to find something to come together underneath, right? We got to make it attractive, right?
Yep.
Okay. Because if you got some black people benefiting from working with white people or non-black folks in general, then it's no incentive. You know what I'm saying? Like, based on the capitalistic structure, do we disagree or agree on that?
Right. I don't disagree.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. Well,
so in terms of how do we come together, that's when I started my logic on saying, well, every black person that wants to come together, they're usually reasonable people. So that's why, like, we need to amplify the logic of being reasonable, no matter what. Like, it's a word that we use. It's an operative phrase in the lexicon of the English language. Do we disagree?
Mm-hmm.
I try to bring stuff back to the simplest form of explanation and replication. Meaning that it's easy to reference and reproduce. So, like, because we haven't got the complicated shit right. We need to do the easy shit perfect. Right?
Right.
Okay, so how we going to embark on trying to sail across the Atlantic when we don't even know how to fucking, you know what I'm saying, like, steer a boat, navigate a boat, right?
We can't get them motherfucker out the dock.
Correct. How many black folks you know how to back a boat off a dock? Drive a trailer.
One in his phone call. One in his phone call. I'm an avid fisherman, so
yeah, you can.
One in his phone call.
Yeah, like it's one. I can drive backwards. You know what I'm saying, with a trailer because I used to run a lawn care service. You know what I'm saying. So I had to be able to drive the trailer at some point with my lawnmower on the back.
Yeah.
But like, outside of that, if we don't have a trade associated with it, how many of us just know how to do that? You know what I'm saying? Well, my point is, is that we have to talk to people with like minds. We can't worry about who ain't supporting us. And the minute they show us who they are, we can't even get discouraged by that. We got to just throw their ass away until they come back and get their shit together.
So they're ready. Because everybody just ain't ready, man.
And that's fine. And it's fine that they're not ready. It's so fine.
You just got to stop trying to force feed the ones that ain't ready.
Man, look, don't give advice to people that's not raising their hands. Fuck that.
But see, I don't even think that it's about necessarily not being ready. I mean, yeah, it's about not being ready, but it's like, I look at, I was on group economics at like 8, 9, 10 years old with my friends and my brother.
Yep.
And in those middle years, I lost it some kind of way. You know what I mean? Like, and somebody said in the picture you posted that we became selfish. Like I'm not selfish. I'm willing to help anybody.
I ain't never had enough to be nothing but selfish.
That's the problem.
Well, yeah, I can buy that. I can see that, but
that's the problem.
But the thing is though, you may say you don't have enough to be selfish, but when you got more with a group than you do by yourself. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? You may only think you got $5, but that $5 times 100,000 people, that can take you a long way.
But in a capitalistic structure, it don't teach that.
Right. But we learned it. Like I said, we learned it when I was younger, but lost it somewhere in those middle years. And now I'm getting back to it when I'm nearing 40, trying to get some of my younger brothers to understand. Like, look, I've got a certain level of establishment. I can help you move, and you can help me move. And what I get is like a turned up nose, like, oh no, you know what I'm saying? Like, come on,
what you trying to do?
Well, I think that hints towards individual personal experiences coming to bear. You know what I'm saying? On their part and yours as well, because like you've seen how it can work and what's actually came from it, right? So you got to fight through their vulnerabilities as well. You know what I'm saying? So, and that's layered like so many different ways. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know if, and again, we're talking about expectation management, right? We're trying to solve all of our systemic issues that come from our abuse and torture in this country, right?
Right.
And we can't solve it on one level.
Because every issue takes you a level deeper.
Correct. Yeah, like we've been peeling back onions for forever, right?
But y'all don't think that we kind of self-taught us that based off,
bruh? Yes.
Not having a whole lot, like with not wanting to help or not wanting to go half on the space with him and his homeboy, right? Mm-hmm. Like a lot of times we teach it to our kids that your friends ain't really your friends.
Yeah,
watch who you call
man.
Friend. Watch who you call friend,
bruh. Look,
and you know what? And you touched on something right there too, because you think about this right here. When I go back to when I was like 8, 9, 10 years old. We get taught from our parents. Don't let nobody ride your bike.
Man,
your bike,
bruh.
Don't let nobody ride your bike, and you will get your ass whooped if you let.
Bro, you get the shit beat out of you. So who ride your bike? You will get your ass whooped.
Right. You know what I'm saying? And so, is that something that we're taught? That's what I'm getting at. Is that something that where did we lose it from? Because prior to that, it was like boom, 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 hours.
Everything is
hours.
hours.
The way that I am now, it's like, bro, if I got a truck, you got a truck. If I got a trailer, you got a trailer. You want to borrow my bike? You want to borrow my blower? You want to borrow my lawnmower?
You can't ride my bike, bro. You can't ride my bike. My bike, no. You tear my bike up and then you die and you can't pay for my shit. So, no.
Yeah, but
shit, look, I ain't like that. You know what I'm saying? Look, I'm not like that.
Hey, I can ride your bike because I give you my shit. You know what I'm saying? I find another one. It ain't nothing to me. Like,
right, you gotta fight. I gotta fight. Look,
which means
you gotta.
which means is like the larger point is what I'm saying is that I can do business with somebody that I can, you know what I'm saying, compensate. I can't fuck with nobody that can't compensate me if something happens. Because we at a stage in life financially where I can't bring somebody out the mud. You got to get out the mud. I help you clean yourself off when you get out the mud, but I'm not going out there to dig you out the mud.
But see, I think that's where we lose some people. I mean, and I'm not saying okay, well, this person can't have nothing. But you got some people that got ambitions. They just don't know the route.
And that's cool.
You know what I'm saying? Because I can remember when, when I was just getting married, me and my ex-wife, we ain't had nothing.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And she had uncles and aunts and cousins, or uncles and aunts that had, Lexus and condos and this, that, and the other. But they were also 20 years ahead of us. They had establishment.
Right.
And, some people, because I know who I am, I look at them like, oh, you know what? I could be there. You know what I mean? But they got a 20-year head start, and they know a little bit more than I do. And so, like, where I'm at, I'm almost 40. I got some people that I roll with that, in their late 20s, maybe early 30s. They don't have the same level of establishment that I have, but that does not stop me from trying to assist them because I can see their vision.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And that's one of the things that we miss that's one of the things that I think we missed in like the 90s generation is that, that whole interconnected web of, okay, I see where you're at, you're not where I'm at, but this is how you can get where I'm at, young fella. It's gonna take you 5 to 10 years to get here, but be patient.
Some folks focused on the flex, man. Some folks focus on the flex.
There you go. There you go.
All right, so some folks are completely focused on nothing but the flex, just so they can flex on folks that look like them. All right.
Mm-hmm.
On credit. On loan. Yeah, but
Yeah.
and so I don't want this to be no bashing session either, because we can air a lot of personal experiences in this and miss the growth point. Okay, for me, I got into real estate because let me tell my story, right, about where I got to where I'm at, or how I'm on my path rather, because I haven't arrived yet. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of folks think I got bread. I got a situation. You know what I'm saying? And I still got to work. I got a 9 to 5 like the rest of y'all. You know what I'm saying? But a lot of times we don't want to take realistic approaches and advice from folks that still got to work just like them. You know what I'm saying? And then at the same, and I'm one of them people. I don't want to fucking hear Puff Daddy and Jay-Z say money ain't a thing, and then think that I ain't got to do what it takes to get to that point to have that same phrase, right? I'm here to do the work. You know what I'm saying? Based on what my skill set enables me to do, based on my passion, and based on my desire to tell people what I did, to get to that point. And I'm easily accessible. You know what I'm saying? I respond to inbox questions all the time about what the fuck are you doing and how did you get there, But anyway, that's besides the point. We have to narrow down things to what we can control and what we can influence, okay? And a lot of times we are functioning in an all or none capacity, which is kind of the reason, one of the myths I published was being an atheist. You know what I'm saying? That wasn't exactly the question, but what I'm saying is that I have been objective enough in my personal compass to enable my personal experiences to shape my principles. Okay? So I've been able to take advice from different levels. I've gotten advice from Jewish folks, you know what I'm saying? Whatever walk of life they come from, right? And I have not allowed myself to put folks in a negative box that I can't benefit from. You know what I'm saying? We have been benefiting off of everybody's individual strategy for a very long time without recognizing that we're functioning off of strategy. Do we disagree with that?
No.
Okay. So in my own walk, I put myself in a position where I don't have to necessarily be completely dependent upon black people to make my money. I love to incorporate more black people in what I do. You know what I'm saying? They have similar resources, because I can't get you out the mud. I'm not out the mud. You feel me?
Right,
I mean, is that unrealistic to say? Like,
No.
okay, and I like to use this story and analogy to put that in perspective. Everybody on this chat has been on an airplane before, and you've listened to the flight attendants pre-flight checks, right? They're saying in the event of pressure loss in the cabin, oxygen mask will drop down from above you, right?
Right.
Do they not tell you to put your oxygen mask on first before you help somebody else?
The exact instructions.
Why do you think they tell you that? How the fuck I'm gonna help you if I'm passed out? How the fuck
Yeah, if I'm dying.
Correct. I got to make it so I can teach it. So ultimately the message is you got to leave some people behind. Even Marcus Garvey recognized that in the 1920s. He was talking to black people in Harlem in a speech where it was post-Reconstruction, and he said if he had the ability to take people back to Africa, he still wouldn't. Because there's some black people.
He said there was some that he would leave behind.
That he would, yeah. Because they wouldn't be no good there either.
Correct.
So in the meantime, this is the other thing that's synonymous with us. We emulate each other. We do shit when we don't have shit that makes it look like we got shit. Right? You know this motherfucker work at McDonald's.
100%.
But he throwing money in the strip club, right? We know she got X, Y, and Z amount of kids and baby daddies, right? But she's still advertising herself as though she doesn't in certain ways, right?
Right.
At some point, we got to recognize that that's what they want. you know what I'm saying? Like the way that they projecting themselves, they want it to be that way.
Right.
So we have to be able to differentiate between those that exhibit the result versus actually having and possessing the result. There's plenty of examples out there where we can get discouraged. You know what I'm saying? But like right now, we on the phone with each other, and these are examples of what we want to possess and magnify. Do we disagree with that?
Not at all.
So why the fuck do we give a damn about whatever everybody else doing? That ain't reflecting that same logic. How come we just can't make our logic better? You know what I'm saying? Because the logic that I represent is me being an ambassador to you. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, you shouldn't get off this phone call and be discouraged by people that don't fuck with you like that. They got their lines drawn. It's definitive. We know it. That's the best thing you could ask for. You know what kind of left and right limitations you got now at this point, right?
Exactly. We know where we stand.
Yeah. And in times of economic uncertainty, is that not better than not knowing it all?
Right.
Okay. I just want to make sure. You know, hey, Sharon, how you feel about that? Did I miss anything?
That's not a thing.
Okay.
I will say, one thing I will say is this, though. A lot of people, like, I had never experienced, like, a conversation with an atheist. So I didn't really have any preconceived notions because I learned on my own and moved away from organized religion on my own through education. So a few years ago, when I had the opportunity to meet an atheist in a previous social setting, I took advantage and talked to him and said, hey, you know, what do you believe? He explained to me his beliefs, blah, 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 blah. And I never let that change anything that I thought about to do prior to that. It's cool to this day. But a lot of people don't have that open-mindedness because they're blinded by religion, and religion tells them that atheists are bad, atheists are evil because they don't believe how we believe. So they never take the opportunity to sit down and talk to an atheist with an open mind and try to understand what it is that they believe with an open mind. And when you do that, you can't get you're automatically going to be biased against whatever their thought process is. But that's a whole different topic.
Yeah, for real. Like, but do we need to care about folks that don't have an open mind?
Nah, not really.
Okay then.
No, because you don't care about you don't care about the man. You got to be able to care more about your fellow man than your religion.
Yep.
Because if you ain't willing to go just to listen to your fellow man, because it like we talked about earlier, we had our disagreement about it, but all it takes for you is for the person that's trying to convince you or change your mind or trying to prove you wrong. Just go do a little reading for yourself.
Yep.
Well, why do you got to change?
Just go do a little research for yourself.
Even without the research, why do you have to try to change somebody's mind about a person when that person treats you well, regardless of what their beliefs are?
Man, that's what we talk about.
That's what we talk about. That's a great question. Like, both things can coexist.
Hey, and look, hey, Drew, let me ask you this question. Hey, Drew?
Yeah.
When I made my alignments, my moral alignments known to you, were you less than my cousin?
Nope.
That's my point. We gonna fight at the mall, right?
Nope.
If something go down, I'm gonna fight at the mall. So
100%.
Off the porch. So you gonna jump off the porch, as they say.
Yeah.
Yeah. None of that has anything to do with it. And I want to understand where he's coming from.
Yep.
How did he get here?
And you wasn't even all the way as complete as you are right now, just like I wasn't.
Nope.
So like,
this is all I've evolved from there to here.
Yeah.
Like the research and the learning, that shit never stopped. Like, I want to see what's going on.
Right.
And it just be as simple as that, man. And even if I would have stood on, because I was raised in the church.
Yeah. Who wasn't? Who wasn't?
Yeah, if I was stood on that Christianity, you know what I'm saying? That could have hurt a relationship.
Yeah. Yeah. Because like, you remember the analogy I gave you? I said, picture us on the stairway to heaven or or hell, right?
Right.
I can't walk away. If you going to hell, I'm coming.
That's it.
You remember when I said that shit?
Man, right. Yeah.
I'm not doing that.
No.
That's my cousin.
So what good is me practicing that religion all that time? I'm just gonna go to hell with you anyway.
Right. Like we living right now.
Right.
I'm willing to chance it because I can't watch that. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I need visuals for me to make it real. You know what I'm saying? And I keep it simple. You know, like I'm not gonna be ride or die until or with conditions. You know what I'm saying? It's really that real for me. You know, it's really that real for you too. So
it's that serious.
Yeah, it has to be. And if we don't take it that serious from person to person, we miss these gaps and we never able to fill them in.
Nope.
Man, hey, Sherman, anything else you want to add, man? I'm getting ready to move on to my next topic, man.
Nah, man, I'm pretty much solid.
Okay. I hope you got something from this conversation, and I'm sure we're gonna talk again at some point because you know we catch up from time to time and run it.
About 2-3 hours.
Yeah, you know, and you know, I appreciate you calling in and then bringing this topic to the forefront and getting us a chance to put it on a platform where a lot of people can contribute and watch it or whatever. But I'm gonna get ready to move on to topic 5, man, and I'm gonna chop it up with you later, bro.
All right, salute, man.
Salute.
Hey, man, good speaking with you, sir.
All right, you too, man. Y'all have a good weekend.
Yes, sir.
All right, you too.
All right. Man, hey, that was great, bro.
Good shit.
Yeah, absolutely. Man, we on the topic 5 right now, though. And this all on you, man. You know? Let me go ahead and read it out for everybody that can't see it, man. Hey, look, I apologize for the lack of visibility on the slides that got presented. And man, I'm having some limitations with OBS and Facebook Live right now, but we're gonna get through it anyway. So, topic number 5: what goes on in this house should stay in this house. This is my cousin's topic. You know what I'm saying? Who brought this up? We done talked about it, but like, I'm interested in the reaction from everyone else that may be interested in that. You know, so I'm gonna make sure I type it in the thread while you go ahead and talk.
All right. Well, this is a big one for me, man, because in the black community that everybody has heard their mama, their grandmama, their great grandmama, their auntie, somebody that tell them, hey, even in between families, your mama don't want your grandmama to know some shit that's going on in y'all house, right? So they always tell you this, whatever going on in this house, stay in the house, and your safety was wrapped up in that sometimes. Because if some business got back somewhere it had no business, they know where it came from. And you got home and you had to deal with that. So, but today I feel like that's a myth that we gotta cancel that myth, black people. We gotta get rid of it. Because there's some stuff going on in these houses that we need to know about. We gotta know about it. Like, people got a whole bunch of just some sick stuff going on in these households. And these things are falling under that umbrella that our business is family business. But when your family business is disrupting the well-being of kids inside the family, then that's something that we need to be talking about. We need to know what's going on in that house.
Man, real deep. Because, like, when we're talking about, like, and for folks that's tuned in, we're talking about the umbrella in which black people function under, right? Things that are colloquial phrases that are designed to protect negative shit. Straight up. You know what I'm saying? There ain't nothing else. Like, we don't...
Put your business in the street, right?
Correct. But business in the streets...
All the stuff put in place, yes.
Yeah.
Business in the street. Some of that business need to be in the courtroom.
Correct. And my boy George Vinziant just said it's a good way to hide dysfunction and pedophilia. Absolutely.
Yeah, we go.
Yeah, that shit right there been protecting folks like your Eddie Longs, your pastors, your Uncle Juniors. You know what I'm saying? Hey, Uncle Junior fucked up, bro. You know what I'm saying?
Uncle Junior been out here.
Yeah. Hey, I'm about to find some lyrics from Killer Mike, you know what I'm saying, real quick, and to bring it up. It's on this song called "That's Life." Let me see if I can find that real quick. But it's true. I don't think we benefit at this point by concealing some things. You know what I'm saying? Based on simply just based on where we are socially right now. You know what I'm saying?
Yes. Because we're gonna have to be the ones to put a stop to this in our own community.
And we're gonna have to fix it, you know?
Yes. So we're gonna have to get Junior ass in. We have to get Junior ass out of here. And we're gonna have to find the cause of this. Mm-hmm. Because there's some correlation between how these situations keep coming about.
Yeah. Straight up, man.
And we can't stop. We gotta start protecting people because we love them.
Yeah.
We sometimes we gotta love the rest of the family more.
Right. I'm about to look. Keep talking, bro. I'm about to try to find this one spot, and in this song called "That's Like Too." Yeah. Right. So
we gotta start speaking up on this stuff, man. We have a lot to say about a lot of stuff, but we got to start talking about the shit that's directing us right here at home when we wake up in the morning. These kids going to school every morning, man. That's got some shit on their chest. They got to carry this stuff around with them, and they going to school and they acting out. They doing that behavior at school is not where it need to be. They can't focus. Their grades ain't where they're supposed to be.
All right.
They're not developing properly as kids. Because something's holding them back.
Hey, since you listen on one end, man, like I'm about to play this one little excerpt from this song, right? Let me go ahead and play this joint right now. Let me know if you can hear it.
And I've been around the world and back. What a day. So I done seen a lot of shit. And I just wanna say that Lucifer said to stay so big. When I'm touching on next, you might wanna leave the kitchen. Cause I'm touching on that touchy subject that they call religion. Kinda touching like that religion that's touching on your chillin'. But nobody wanna talk about that.
Hey.
Hard.
Hard. You know what I'm saying? And that's Killer Mike. For those y'all ain't never heard that song, it's called That's Life, and it's on the album called The Pledge. So what we talking about right now, dealing with black issues, black people, and protecting, like information that's in our household, enables people like the folks that he was talking about on that segment of his verse. You know what I'm saying? And sadly, it fits the, the title of the song called That's Life. And and it also feeds a logic that I've always lived by, saying that your personal experiences don't mean anything unless they benefit somebody else. Because who are you without someone?
Space.
Who are you? Because, like, if nobody heard of somebody that died, then did they ever exist? It don't mean that they lived. I mean, didn't live at all, but did they exist? You know what I'm saying? That's why at this point in our life, correct. We got to mean something to somebody else in order to exist, right?
Yes.
Somebody's
got to tell your story.
Yeah, I mean, like, they will never sing songs of you. You know what I'm saying? Just like on like old Thanos. You know what I'm saying? My man said they would never sing.
Yep.
And part of this is just me looking at what I got to work with every day. About what I could do to take my circumstances and make myself better prepared to deal with them circumstances as they present themselves. And so I look at everything that I dedicate my energy towards as something that I can extract. I don't want to live a life where people can't sing songs of me. I owe you that. I owe my wife that. I owe, like my pops that. R.I.P. To my pops. And
rest in peace.
I was meant to be something, you know what I'm saying, to those folks that value my opinion on some things, So when we talk about what goes on in this house, stays in this house, it can be problematic. Because those experiences that goes on in that house that finally get made public define what somebody else's household might be dealing with that they may not feel is morally sound. Like, they may not know that shit was wrong, whatever it might be. And now you got an example of why it's wrong. So you deal with it, right?
Right.
So that's why we're saying that it's problematic that's why it's a myth that what goes on in this house should stay in this house. Because this whole segment is about myths.
Myths that we need to get rid of immediately.
They don't benefit us at all.
They don't help us at all.
Like, how do we benefit by protecting folks that don't have our best interests in mind? Like, that's the question that you got to be able to answer. And if you can't answer it in a quick sentence, it's probably unnecessary.
Yep, it's unnecessary.
Yep.
And you just trying to figure out a way to hold on to.
Yep.
We do that.
Yep.
We do that a lot.
Yep. Man, so I don't think we even need to beat that one. I think we scuffed that one up pretty good, bro. You got anything else you want to add?
Talk about it. Nah, man, just talk about it.
Man, look.
That's the only thing I want to add to that discussion.
Yeah, look.
Talk about it.
Talk
and
about
if
it.
they won't talk about it at home, find somebody outside your house to talk about it.
Correct.
I don't care. Especially if it's affecting you, you are not betraying nobody but yourself if you're not talking about it.
Correct. Man, we've approached. We're done with the myths, okay? So we've gotten to the fact that we have some equity in our own situation in some of the topics that we've discussed, right?
Right.
We only talk about self-inflicted shit right now. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Because we got to fix that first. And to ignore that is negligence. But I'm not going to leave. This whole live cast isn't about us completely. It's about us understanding the variables that impact the way that we're seeing, you know? And so we can navigate properly and protect us. You know what I'm saying? Because ain't nobody responsible for us but us. I like the word us right now. You know?
Yep, us.
Mm-hmm. That's the focus of this live cast. So I got a combination topic that I want to highlight. Is I'm going to start doing a grand finale where I write something that's pretty opinionated in line with something that's in current media. And so my next, and it's not focused on the details because once we get the ground truth about what happened, you know what I'm saying, the specifics really don't matter when it's outside of our community, okay? And let me clarify that because somebody's going to say, well, you've been talking about facts, this, that, and the other. You know what I'm saying? Like, how do you bypass all of the particular details about a specific topic? And let me tell you why. Because this is about white mass shooters. Okay? So we had 2 mass shootings this week, right? There was one in Florida where a white dude walked in a bank. I think it was a SunTrust bank. Shot 5 folks, and all of them happened to be white women, if I'm not mistaken. And he called, well, when the first responders were called, I think it was SWAT, he was detained because he surrendered. Okay? And then a few hours ago today, there was a white dude that shot 5 folks dead in a shooting spree in Louisiana. I think it was in Baton Rouge. And I made a post today when I reposted I put a caption with the post that says just another white dude that killed some folks. And that was part of a larger logic that I have associated with it. And I don't want to get people caught up in the details, you know what I'm saying? Because the result is that a white dude killed some more people, you know? And in the midst of talking about building a wall, stopping folks coming over here, terrorizing us, well, Americans rather, because I got another opinion about that too. But here we are debating about, you know what I'm saying, the utility of a wall in the context of protecting Americans from terrorism. And here we are, the very folks that embody what terrorism is are being titled as something mentally ill or disgruntled, bullied, whatever. Constant narrative. So I wrote something a few years ago that is also available to read in my book that, you know what I'm saying, sparked a greater expansion on the topic. And the links to my book, which is available on Amazon, are also in the caption. And it's called The Code, and it's a blueprint to solidarity among reasonable black people. It's about a 105-page read and available on Kindle and paperback. But this is what I wrote, and y'all bear with me for a second. And this is part of the grand finale. I said, white mass shooters should be pursued with the same intensity and scrutiny as black people were pursued when it came down to drugs and mandatory minimums. So, when drugs infested black communities in the 80s, law enforcement presence increased and accelerated the population of the prison system by filling it with black people. There were laws passed to back the officers to help funnel black people into the prison system and keep them inside of a cell with lengthy mandatory minimum sentencing. White mass shooters should be pursued with the same intensity and scrutiny. White people have been conducting mass shootings at a much higher rate than any other group, and yet law enforcement has yet to assemble any type of visible proactive task force that has the same occupying presence in white communities from where these shooters are found. At this point, aren't white males associated with white supremacist group at the top of the line of the profile chart for potential mass shooting? Is it not a public safety issue at this point? It's not like the FBI or local law enforcement reps haven't gotten any tips that an active shooter situation could occur. If law enforcement presence increased in white suburbs or in these meth valley trailer parks where a lot of the known white supremacist members and sympathizers reside, I'm sure white people that live in these areas would feel offended enough to find ways to work with legislators to decrease their presence and help identify shooters to preserve their quality of life. Just declare war on white shooters. The same way the war on drugs was code for fill up private prisons with black people. And there's data to support it. It's just another example how nothing will change until white people are collectively offended. They'll continue to deflect to parenting, gun control, mental illness as the sole reasons for the type of shooter, but never collectively say we got to stop some of these white people. That's my opinion on it, at this point. And if you want to read more, it's in my book. It's also, the links for the book are located in the caption. Hey, Drew, anything you want to add to that? Drew,
nah, man.
Are you good?
Nah. Yeah, I'm good, man. Nah, man, there's too much more I can add to that, man. Just you tied that up nicely, man. Keep that same energy.
Hey, I thought I had lost you for a second, man.
Cause we ain't forgot.
Mm-hmm.
We ain't forgot. Sometimes, man, it take me, like when I have to swallow before I talk.
Yeah.
It take an extra second. So is that why I sound like I be on tape delay?
Okay, bro. Well, I don't have nothing else to add, man, because I'm not finna sit up here and highlight shit that white people doing to each other. But I wanna use it as context for people to see that we have our own issues just as well as them. And if they're not willing to get up off their ass to do something in a legislative sense, to do something about their issues, why the fuck do we think that they should care about us?
All I can tell you, man, keep your head on the swivel. Be careful where you just pay attention to your surroundings, man. Mm-hmm. That's the best advice I can give you, because that's the only way you can protect yourself. There's no way you can not be somewhere. You know what I'm saying? You cannot be at the wrong place at the wrong time.
Correct.
Just always be aware of what's going on around you.
Right.
Okay, pay attention to motherfuckers' face, how they looking, how they moving. Mm-hmm. Pay attention to people.
Yeah, man.
Because body language will give you a whole lot.
Yeah, it will. Hey, and for those of y'all that are subscribed to the YouTube page, and if you haven't, please go ahead and do so. Because my transitions and layouts look a lot different. And Facebook Live isn't participating, but I appreciate you guys showing up. I don't have anything else to add, man. You know what I'm saying? It's just Code Talk, you know what I'm saying? Episode 6. And it's just two young OGs with an opinion. You know what I'm saying? Drew, I'm going to holler at you later. And peace.
All right, bro. It's been real.
Absolutely. Every time.
Peace.
Bruh, that was awesome.
Yep.
Every time, bro. Every motherfucking time.
That shit was hard.
Every motherfucking time, man.
Every time, man. It's going up every time.